Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Moran and I'm here with Andrew Velez, Joe Dehls, and John Tortorelli. And this is episode 385, where Mr. Dehls is front and center after the Celtics won the NBA championship, 2024 champs. Dehls is rocking the pick'em belt with the Boston hat, the Jaylen Brown shirt. Dehls, tell them how you feeling, man.
Just giving and everyone good look in their eye. Things that have been said about this team, disrespect on our name. I think the Mavs were gonna win this series.
How could they?
I just want to get a good look at y'all, man.
Dummies.
Look at the camera. Look at them.
So I'm looking at myself.
I know. I don't blame you. You're handsome. Look at the camera.
Disappointed.
I feel like I'm behind a boogeyman right now.
Yes. I scared the shit. You scared the shit out of me. Thought something was wrong.
He stopped talking. John, how do you feel right now? You know, Dehls, he got receipts on you. He got receipts on me. He got receipts on Rev, who couldn't make it here today.
It's like, whoa.
Do you have any receipts on Drew too, Dehls?
This is everything I thought it would be. Oh, man. It's beautiful. Haven't even started. He's worried. Haven't even started. He's sweating. His hands are sweating. Oh, what he's going through his head right now. What have I said about the Boston Celtics these last 3 years? Ooh.
Oh my God. This episode, I said this when you guys went up 3-0. This episode's not for me. This is for them, but it's for this guy right here and this guy right there. Lord have mercy. This episode is going to be one of the most fun I've been a part of in a while.
John, I'm so happy you can make it here too,
And
brother.
honestly,
I am John. You don't understand
that was this nice.
how thrilled I am you are here.
Listen,
I mean it with such sincerity. I am so happy you are here.
Listen, John. It's 2v1. We gotta stick together on this show. By any means possible. We gotta stick together.
Oh, I'm so happy you're here, John.
Yo. I can't wait.
What do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about the game? I don't want. Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. We're gonna get into all the petty shit. We're gonna get into all the receipts. Believe that, because there is so many receipts, and that's why I said I was so happy you're here, John. Because there are so many receipts about you specifically that Rivers says some shit. Don't get me wrong. Oh my God, you're worse. You're almost as worse as this guy. I would say borderline worse, but we're gonna get into that.
That might be worse.
I want to talk about first what actually matters.
Please.
What actually transpired, what I knew was going to happen, what everyone who had a basketball brain knew was going to happen. Boston Celtics dominated Dallas Mavericks.
Wasn't even close.
Mavs got that one in game 4, but the way the Celtics played in the other 4 games, I almost believe that they said, we want to close it out on TD. The way they played in those 4 other games, I think 3 of the 4, they were up by 20 at one point. Last night was an ass whooping. I mean, elimination game back against the wall. Y'all don't even show up. Like, I feel bad because people are like, the NBA Finals this year is whack. I'm like, yeah, it's whack because you have one team who has dominated every single step of the way, and you have another team who just got hot at the end. And people were getting their hopes up that we're going to get this insane back and forth series. I mean, no disrespect to Luka because he don't got a lot else on that team outside of Kyrie that could really create for him. But this was not a Luka series. I know a lot of people said, Luka's going to come out. He's going to show why he's the best player in the world. He's going to take that from Jokic. Not going up against the Boston Celtics. We gave all this hype about the Minnesota Timberwolves. I left this season saying that this Celtics defense is better than that Timberwolves defense. When they are as engaged and locked in as they were for this 5-game stretch, you know what's crazy about this series? These 5 games was the worst 5 games for the offense for the Boston Celtics in the entire season.
I believe that.
from a points per game
Yep.
perspective, the worst 5-game stretch in the season. And they won almost every game by about 20 points. How locked in this team was defensively makes me think this was the best defense damn near I'd ever seen. Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. When KP wasn't even 100% healthy.
No.
This matchup was terrible for the Mavericks. I said it from the jump. This matchup was terrible for them. And one thing I will say about Dallas, because listen, they got here. Respect to them, I guess. This is going to be a wake-up call for Luka. I think Luka needed this wake-up call. Almost all the greats in NBA history at one point or another get a wake-up call.
Yep.
Happened to LeBron,
Did.
you know. Happened to countless people.
Giannis.
Should happen to Tatum in 2022 where his shot wasn't falling. He couldn't do shit. He's like, all right, I got to get better at playmaking. You saw the leap he took there. I think this was a real wake-up call to Luka to say, you could put up all the numbers because his raw counting numbers look fantastic. I mean, he put up damn near triple-double, leading the entire playoffs, points, games, rebounds, every stat near the book. But I leave this series thinking Luka Doncic, this was like a C- series at best for Luka. I did not come away from this series thinking more high on Luka than I did entering the season. If anything, I felt a little bit lower because at the absolute biggest stage at his career, 25 years old, not saying it's over or nothing, but the biggest stage of his career, he was underwhelming to me.
Mm-hmm.
Offensively was not that efficient. He would have good quarters, good halves, but was never really engaged offensively for 4 quarters. Part of the reason why is because defensively, Boston was consistently attacking him. And I know his one-on-one numbers with a guy like Jason Tatum may look nice, but if you're actually watching the game and see how Boston was getting their offense, a lot of it was, let's involve Luka. And if we weren't involving Luka, we're usually taking advantage of him off ball because he's not engaged. So I think this was a real wake-up call to Luka, and that's a scary sight for the league. Luka Doncic, even at his worst, is giving you damn near a triple-double on 30 points per game. If he's able to take that next step, he's consistently in shape, he can at least give you effort on defense. I mean, that's a really scary sight. But before we get into all that petty shit, just wanted to see what actually happened, because who knows where this conversation is going to go today? Who knows? But I wanted to give the people just a little bit of basketball breakdown before we get into all of that.
That wasn't a basketball breakdown, Dehls. First of all, congratulations to the Boston Celtics for winning the championship. You're just saying fallacies about Luka Doncic.
Which are
Those are just fallacies.
Let's hear the fallacies.
He just said that he feels worse about Luka after this season than he felt about him after coming into the season.
I said after the series.
After the series. Why do you feel worse about Luka? He just made the NBA Finals.
He made the NBA Finals.
He's a 5-time All-NBA first teamer. How do you feel worse about Luka? This is the type of recency bias that I hate that's going on because the Mavericks just lost the NBA Finals.
Mm-hmm.
Luka Doncic wasn't his best.
Mm-hmm.
Luka Doncic struggled in this series. A lot of credit has to be paid to the Celtics defense and their personnel.
I agree.
If you think the Celtics are the number one defense in basketball, I won't argue with you. What I will say is that that's not a slight to Minnesota, because we're seeing right now that some teams defensively match up with others. The Celtics defense wouldn't have looked better against the Timberwolves if they had faced the Denver Nuggets. The Timberwolves look the best because they have the personnel to guard the Nuggets big men, but they didn't have the perimeter guys to guard Dallas's perimeter attack. Celtics are more of a perimeter-oriented defense, so they had that personnel. It wasn't the best matchup for Dallas coming in, but you'll be damned if you want to come up here and lie and feel like Dallas ain't have a chance. This series was predicated off of Kyrie and Luka playing well. Luka at least played somewhat well. Kyrie, outside of a game or two, was a complete disaster, especially in Boston, missing wide open shots. The Mavericks' three-point percentage amongst the starters on wide open threes in this series was 17%. Their shooting high regressed to the mean, and that's why this series looked like how it did. But if you look at Boston's point per game and the Mavericks' points per game, it's a 3-point difference. This series wasn't a butt whooping, even though it felt like
they blew it. We got blown out in one game.
Boat.
This was an ass whooping.
Nah, it was
this
an ass
series.
whooping.
This was an ass whooping this series.
It was an ass whooping. There was a comment on the last podcast that we did talking about Luka's plus minus and Tatum and Jaylen Brown's plus minus after game 4, saying that for the series, Luka was a plus 26, and then Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum were like a minus 11, minus 10, respectively. Game 4 swayed a lot of the statistics of this series. And you say, talking about Kyrie Irving, 40% of this series he played well, which is not good. He played well in game 3. He played well in game 4. He played better than Luka Doncic did in game 3, in my humble opinion. Game 3, at least he was there to finish the fight with his brothers, unlike Luka Doncic, who fouled out and was didn't really have a strong hand in the comeback to bring them within, I believe it was 3 points at one point in time in that game where they were down 21. Kyrie Irving was fantastic in that game. And then game 4, I think it was just a great team effort by the Mavs. Luka was awesome in that game too. But again, I feel like for the majority of this series, Boston had control of it. Even in game 3 where they made it close, even in game 2 where it was a 2-point game, Boston had control of those games right up to the very end, but then they kind of took their foot off the gas. And you can't take your foot off the gas in the NBA Finals, but Boston did that in games 2 and 3. We just saw it in game 1. They went quarter 1 to quarter 4, pedal to the metal every minute of that game. Then you look at game 5, we saw that energy that they needed to have in game 4 that they didn't have. Boston had complete control of this series. I do firmly believe that. Coming in, I thought it'd be closer, but after game 1, it felt very simple to me that this was a bad matchup and that Dallas was overmatched. And if you have the role players for the Boston Celtics playing it the way that they're playing, and the Dallas Mavericks role player play the way that they did play, they weren't going to have a chance. And they didn't.
That's fair to say that. You said after game 1, you kind of felt like the Celtics had complete control. They're going to win the series.
I did.
Okay, that's fair because they were by far the better team in game 1. And by no means did the Mavericks outplay them. The Celtics outplayed them. That's why they're NBA champions. They dominated this series. I'm not going to lie to you. But in game 1 of the OKC series, you thought that Dallas was done after game 1.
It's a fair point.
So you can also credit the game 1 to maybe some recency bias because you thought Dallas would have put up a better fight. And I feel like right now,
I also did take Boston to win the series, but on top of it, it was just on all aspects of the game, a dominating performance by the Boston Celtics that carried over into game 2, carried over into game 3, not game 4, obviously.
I mean, game 2 came down to the clutch. Game 3 came down to the clutch. That was a terrible Luka game. I will give him no excuses for that.
Probably his worst game ever, truthfully.
That was terrible. That was terrible. But coming away from the series, I feel a lot better about Luka's outlook because now he's experienced the NBA Finals.
And there's something
and now he knows what he has to improve on. I feel better because this is our playoff run. Let's not be oblivious to the fact that he's been injured. And he made it this far injured, and you want to make noises. That's a fact. He has been hurt, bro. And I hate when people act like he hasn't been hurt. He has been
give
hobbled.
That benefit of the doubt to Jaylen last year. You didn't.
A knee injury is
far worse shoulder.
Than a
shoulder injury.
He still would have got attacked. Maybe he holds up a little bit better, but I think they still don't have much of an issue getting by him.
I agree with
single
but that's
benefit of the doubt.
Offensively, why was his shot off for the majority of the playoffs?
Why was he great against the Wolves?
No, he was.
Why was he great against the Wolves and then he goes to Boston and now he's hurt again? Like I understand he was dealing with injuries 100%, but was he not dealing with the same injuries in Minnesota that he was against Boston?
During the Timberwolves series, there were multiple games where he was listed as questionable going into the game.
I'm aware.
So he was hurt.
But he played amazing.
But then he was amazing.
But just because you play amazing doesn't mean you were hurt. When Patrick Mahomes messed up his ankle on his way to the Super Bowl championship in 2022, he was hurt and he still got the job done. Just because you play great does not mean that you're not hurt.
I'm just not excusing it to saying that it's because he's hurt. I mean,
I'm not saying he's playing bad because he's hurt.
Was the opponent. What changed was you're playing Boston instead of Minnesota. That's what changed. The injury was still the same.
I'm not giving him a break for playing hurt. He played. His performance is his performance. But I feel a lot better about this season and his outlook based off what he dealt with, the leadership he's shown
that was
throughout.
A strong take by him.
Yeah, I feel a lot better about him. With the Celtics, I went to the beach this weekend.
You needed it.
And I knew the Celtics were up 3-0. I got on the boat with Mavs Twitter, and I joined in on the Luka profile picture. And Twitter I can't change my profile picture. I review my profile.
Everyone in Mavs Twitter switched that. They thought he was Bron. Just to go out there and have probably his worst offensive game of the series.
Now, I'll be honest, in the moment, right? Everyone's all hyped. They're really, really
I knew that was
together.
Not bad hit.
I knew that was not some of the weakest shit in Twitter history.
Yeah. Honestly, shout out to the Mavericks. It wasn't their fault that they
shout
lost
out to our guy. Shout out to our guy Mavs.
They did their thing. Shout out to Slightly Biased too. They did their thing. I can't change my profile, but I was at the beach. I can't change my profile.
For 3 days, y'all gonna have to live with that embarrassment.
No, it's ridiculous. That's why I'm not tweeting on Twitter. I don't want to see myself pop up no time soon. So I was at the beach and I was just looking at the waves. I was looking at the sky. I was just trying to, find peace within myself. And I have a notebook next to me. I like to journal. And I came up and I was like, okay, let me write things I love about the Celtics winning the championship.
Mhm.
Let me look at the positive side.
Okay.
I was there for 3 hours and didn't come up with a single thing.
Not even my friend Joel's team won a championship. That wasn't like,
Have you heard how he's talked about the Celtics? You think he really cares about my feelings?
that's nuts. We may disagree a lot. I promise you, if the Jets ever win a championship, I'm texting you immediately. Congratulations.
I appreciate that. You're a better person than I am.
He didn't text me last night.
Okay.
He texted me today.
He
You
didn't
saw
text
that.
you. Yeah. That was nasty.
I'm sorry.
That
I'm
was
sorry.
nasty. That's the first text that he sent
I'm
you.
sorry.
That's
I
nasty.
saw the Garrett Wilson tweet and I was just like, man, it's fucked up. I was like, fuck
You
it.
did, that's not what went through your head.
No, I swear to God, it
It's
is.
fucked up.
It is. I said that's messed up that Garrett Wilson said that. No, yeah. And I hate that you exposed me on Twitter. You exposed my coming out of hiding.
Easy.
It's ridiculous.
Easy.
But listen, I'm not gonna be shy about it. I didn't want the Celtics to win the championship this year.
No doubt.
It's as simple as
We
that.
know.
All year long, this has been a team that I doubted, and they proved me wrong. There's no doubt about that. I was wrong about this year's Celtics.
Oh shit.
This
Saw it come from a mile away.
NBA season has been great. And despite all the things that I feel good about, the Knicks were 1 game away from the ECF. Jaylen Brunson made All-NBA team. Pacers made the playoffs. Tyrese Halliburton All-NBA team. The Timberwolves WCF. Anthony Edwards All-NBA team. Luka making the finals.
That happened.
If you would have told me all that happens,
happens.
and I'm sitting here today, the day after the season ends, and I feel like shit, I thought you crazy. I said the only thing that could have possibly happened was the Celtics winning a championship. That's the only thing that could have made this great season go all the way down to a 0 for me. But it happened. And I feel like it is a special moment, even though I did say that there was nothing positive I could come away with. Watching the celebration, I felt like the theme that personified the Celtics was Jason Tatum saying what they gonna say now. Because there is nothing left to say.
Nothing.
There is nothing left to say.
Ooh, even I have a few things I can think of.
In regards to the team, there's nothing left to say.
Oh, I agree with that. You're a champion.
The Celtics this year, their number one expectation, their only goal was to win the NBA championship.
Cook.
If they would have lost at any point of this run, they would have been slandered by everybody. So in this moment, they deserve nothing but praise and respect.
Wow.
And
Sure of you.
80-21 record, 18 championship. That's the most all time in the NBA. And what I honor about this Celtics team is that they did it the right way. Drafting and developing, smart front management, front office moves, getting the right pieces, going through trials and tribulations, and still keeping this core intact. We live in very impatient times. And at any point of losing in the 2018 ECF, the 2020 Conference Finals, in 2021, losing in the finals after a great comeback to your season, a great second half, Jaylen Brown having his most awful game in Game 7, you could say series of his career in the ECF versus Miami Heat. It could have been very easy for Brad Stevens to get impatient and get another player in there. But he stuck loyal to the core that has been this successful with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And they are correct when they say they need each other. They complement each other, and it's one of the best duos in the NBA. And the fact that they have grown together is a really awesome thing that I really appreciate about this team. This is the way that every fan wants their team to win. Draft guys, homegrown guys, winning the championship. And that's why to you, Dehls, congratulations, because this is the team you've stuck with from the very beginning. You've watched all the failures, and you are allowed to celebrate this moment in the highest of highs.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate that.
Now, let me ask you a question. Does that matter to you?
No, listen, I respect the, you know what I mean?
He
The
spoke
thought.
well.
He spoke well. Deep down, I know he don't really care one bit. Like, I'm not a
It's
fool.
like a knife to his heart.
I'm not a fool. I know he really doesn't care at all that the Celtics won the championship. Like, he's saying that, I get it. But John, I would love to get your opinions on this Boston Celtic team. let me not remind you. Once called us potentially the Utah Jazz.
Oh my.
With all those, where you see the list, Al Horford finally got
Utah
off with Malone and with Stockton, a team that consistently making deep playoff runs, but could just never get over that hump. What else have you said about this Boston team? Jaylen Brown and Zach LaVine are basically the same player, just regarded very differently. That's an interesting conversation since we just saw 1 year ago. That's embarrassing. We just saw Jaylen Brown lock up
the benefit of the doubt.
a lot of people's best offensive player in the world. I mean, lock him down. So I'd love to hear what you have to say about the Celtics team.
There's a lot to say. Coming into this year for Boston, they had the best starting five in the NBA. And for me, I always knew they had the ability to go to the finals. I had them going to the finals coming into this year. But I had questions. I think many people did on the biggest stage. Do they have enough playmaking? In the finals, Jason Tatum more than answered that. He took pretty good care of the ball, just 3.2 turnovers, and he improved. You saw a growth in maturity from 2022 to 2024. And my biggest question beyond just playmaking for the Celtics was, in the half court, are they going to get enough rim pressure and dribble penetration to draw two and create a lot of advantages against the elite defense? Dallas defense came together, was one of the better in the NBA, and they picked it apart. And this series, the Celtics shoot 33% from three. That's the third biggest question with this team. How do the Celtics look when things aren't so pretty and the shots aren't going in? And, well, they only shot 2% better than Dallas at the end of the series. It was Jason Tatum as an initiator, a playmaker, and a decision maker that won the Celtics ultimately that game 5 and allowed their offense to be as good as it was. That's my number one impression with this team. Secondly, I had a lot of questions about Kristaps Porzingis' health. If he gets hurt, what are they going to do? Are they going to have enough depth? Is Al Horford going to be exposed in the playoffs? I love Xavier Tillman. How good is he going to be offensively in the absence of Porzingis? Kristaps goes down, misses those 2 games in Dallas. They're fine. They win 1. And then ultimately, they win 5 without him being healthy in these finals. You see him in game 5. He's at maybe 50%. And even still, the depth for the Celtics was actually a strength at the end of the day. Peyton Pritchard comes in, hits 2 Jordan Poole 3-point shots from half court. And
that's
then
his legacy now.
I mean,
Jordan Poole for that.
It's quite the shot. And you look at the Celtics supporting cast. One thing that I was wrong about, one thing that I mentioned in this postseason was that Jrue Holiday regressed defensively. And that was said, I think, in their second round series. Hey, look, I'm not going to hold back. I'll call myself out where I was wrong. And Jrue Holiday was wonderful in this finals.
Yeah,
you
wonderful.
saw him.
Wonderful.
He could have been finals MVP, bro.
Short.
He could have been finals MVP. He was so fucking good.
He played one of the best series that I've seen from a role player. Not only did he outplay Kyrie Irving pretty clearly, but he brought so much value to slow down the Celtics offense. And I think one thing which has not been mentioned nearly at all between this Celtic team and past Celtic teams is the difference their offenses looked going from Marcus Smart to Jrue Holiday. On the defensive end, Jrue Holiday hasn't let up a thing in Smart's absence. But offensively, they're moving him, using him a lot more off the ball, whether it was as a short roller. He's finishing damn near everything. He's creating huge defensive plays. I think on the third possession of the game, he gets a strip on a Kyrie Irving or a Luka Doncic drive, and then he's running the floor for 2. Jrue Holiday offensively slowed this team down. He settled them in. As a playmaker, he brought some value off the ball, but more importantly, I think he just connected things with his experience. He's in year 14, 15, 16 now, and having guys like him and Al Horford made a couple of big shots, which have that veteran pedigree. I think that allowed Jaylen and Jason to just have that belief that not only can we lead this team, but we have enough experience in the stage. And that's something that Dallas clearly lacked. And I think looking from 2022 to 2024, it's quite clear that continuity and experience do matter. And sometimes for teams like the Celtics, you're going to look and find a flaw. But when you win 64 games, then the championship, there's absolutely nothing to say. So I was skeptical about the Celtics all year long, but as a friend, I'm happy to see your team win a championship.
Oh, thank you, brother. Yeah.
Generally, I'm being this very gently. I'm happy to see your team win a championship. I was wrong about them. And I'll also acknowledge this. I hate the Celtics. It's pretty cool to see them win a championship for the first time in 16 years.
Oh, don't do
I won't lie to you. It's a nice feeling. I think as a sports fan, it's cool to see the team win a championship for the first time in 2 decades. I was 5 the last time it happened. And for a franchise with that much history, I think it was about time.
I'm pretty indifferent on you guys winning. I'm happy for you. Really don't care about the Boston Celtics other than this man right here, the Finals MVP, the guy that they said that was the worst contract in sports history. I'm going to throw some fucking respect on Jaylen Brown's name. That's all I have to say. I'm not wearing a Boston Celtics jersey. I'm wearing a Jaylen Brown jersey. Stamped. Go ahead, Joel.
Should we get to some of these videos?
Can I ask you a question? Would it be possible to send them so that we can play them for the audience? Is that possible? Can
Oh,
do we,
sure.
do
Dude,
we
I have so
copyright
many.
ourselves?
I have so many videos.
No, you can't. No, he can send them.
Now let me ask you a question: is it like clipped together, or is there all?
Oh
a
no,
bunch
I just have a bunch
clips?
of individual videos over the years of different things that have been said. You want me to
It's a
just
lot
text
of
them
work.
to you, bro?
Yes. You
Okay,
can.
word.
Actually, my AirDrop might be on. You can maybe AirDrop.
I'm gonna
It's
be honest.
Joel's MacBook Pro.
This is gonna hit.
We've had some good times over the years talking about the Boston Celtics. We've had some really good times. For some people at this table, at least. For other people, not as much. Been very disrespectful over these years. John Tortorelli included, River Brown, Joel Moran. Drew, for the most part, has been clean. Every once in a while, he's got a couple in there.
His camp's looking good.
I got a his slate's looking good. I got a couple, just little tweets, but video.
Trolls.
This man's been pretty clean.
Yeah, video. I've
This
never,
man's
I've
been
never
pretty
done it.
clean. Twitter, he lets some things get through his head.
I do.
He's reading the timeline. Every once in a while, you get out the 2024 Celtics, just the 2022 Suns. Every once in a while, you gonna get that out of Drew. But for the most part, he's been pretty consistent. I just sent a few over to you. I got more. I definitely got more.
You sent 3, correct?
Yeah, I sent you a tweet as well that has some videos in there.
I think I
can't
know
wait
what
for
that
this.
one is.
Yeah, man. It's just worth it.
No,
It's just so worth it. Like, you really get to sit here and I feel like I won the championship.
yeah,
Like, I feel like
with you.
I won this championship
you did.
right here.
You
Like,
did.
I understand how Tatum feels. I understand how Jaylen Brown feel when they said, finally, we did it. Because I feel like I just did that.
We did it.
Damn.
Did
I
you
was-
send me videos or pictures too?
It should be all videos.
Because I'm just getting pictures. One is processing. I think this is the first video we can play.
Shut
we
up.
know the Warriors ain't on shit, man.
Win a ring in this era. Like, Jesus.
Your
Do
time-
something outside of 07. Please.
I have rings in front of me. All your rings behind you, buddy.
You don't have anything in front of you. You have nothing. You've
I do.
done nothing.
Got rings.
Like, you just keep.
You're like never gonna see another championship.
you
stuff
might
again.
never see one.
I will.
When?
This year, next year, the year after. Fucking
You
3
say it every year.
We
Dehls
should
said,
have at least one.
this year.
It sounds like LeBron and D-Wade, bro. I hope you guys get one, though. I really do.
Not 1, not 2,
Not 3.
not 3, not 4, not 5.
You better pray you end up with one. Don't fold this
You
shit,
need
bro.
1, man.
Oh, don't you worry, man.
Yeah, you gotta lose down 3-0 to 8
I'll
seeds
be
and
honest.
shit,
If it's
like,
not this year, bro, when?
that's what I'm
When?
saying. If they don't win this year,
Joel,
when, bro?
honestly, answer the question. Like, let's just say, for your sake, God forbid, the Boston Celtics don't win this season. What the fuck do we do?
I mean, the thought hasn't even gone through my head, so I don't even know
That's
what
your
to answer
problem.
you. Like,
That's the first thing. I thought that Dehls was voicing over the clip. I didn't realize.
I
until
know.
Halfway through that, you didn't know that the clip was
I'll let you
playing.
know when they're playing. Yeah, that was a good one. That was the one of Riv, basically talking about how you said all his rings are behind him. Yours are coming now.
try telling me.
And then I asked, if not this season, then when? And you said that thought hasn't even entered my mind.
This isn't new. It's always been this. It's always been. What do we got next?
You're capping.
I said no. I'm really not.
He was definitely nervous about the Celtics throughout the year.
When we were winning like 64 games, like at what point should I be worried? Sort of like 10-2.
I'll tell you, Riv really quietly has been very disrespectful on the two guys. Maybe not the Boston Celtics, but the Jays for sure.
On Missoula for sure. He's like John. He's just always wrong. Like he's just always wrong. It's not even like he's hating on them. He's just always wrong. You know what I mean? Like, damn, John.
So we got this
I still
next
shoot 50%.
super chat. No, not super chat. Sorry, next video. I'm about to play.
You guys are arguing about Tatum again, you know?
Yeah, about shit that happened like 4 years ago because that's the last time Katie
This
did
is a
anything
lot of
decent.
talk for a motherfucker who has not won a championship yet. And he's gonna choke. And he's gonna choke again this year.
25.
He's gonna choke again this year. He's gonna choke again this year. Believe that. He's gonna choke again.
Damn.
You heard that?
Nah, I'm looking at the screen.
You can see it again. Good.
You remember that?
Tatum did choke. He
Yeah.
shot 39% from
In the
the field.
closeout game,
30,
he was
11,
like that.
and
In
in the
game 5,
closing
he was
game.
great, but in the finals, he was not good.
In the
bro.
biggest
He
game
was-
of the season for him.
Offensively, he shot poorly, piss poor. It was terrible, bro. His efficiency was terrible.
basically
I'll be honest, he
stopped
played
it.
better than
In
Luka.
a five out system with ultimate
Played
spacing,
better than Luka.
you shot 39% from the field.
Played better than Luka.
Come on.
Played better than Luka.
No, he did not.
did.
He was just on a better team than Luka.
Just played
He
better.
did not play better.
He was a
than
better
that.
playmaker than Luka this series.
No, he was not.
He was.
No, he
Tatum
was
as a
not.
playmaker was pretty fucking
He
great.
shot 36% from the field. By the way.
Tatum had
No, this
54
finals
potential
was
assists to
38-8.
Luka's 48. Tatum created 20 more
That's
points.
20.2.
Tatum had a 2.25 assist to turnover ratio. Luka had a 1.2.
Where so you're looking at the box score and not watching the game. It's
I was watching the game
about
too.
how they're guarding Luka way different than Tatum. They're collapsing on him more. They're able to.
They're collapsing. They
were collapsing on Tatum a
You want to know
lot.
who else had more potential assists and assists per game than Tatum? Anthony Edwards and SGA. They had more than him in this entire playoff.
Oh, then you're saying when they played them.
No, I'm saying
and
Luka
lost.
was number one in the playoffs in potential assists and assists created. Boston just honed in on taking away the corners and taking away his lives. I mean, they did everything to stop this
perfect.
guy.
It was a perfect game plan.
Jason Tatum had guys around him that can actually help with dribble penetration, unlike Luka. Luka had to do everything.
You should have thought
a
about
lot
this
of
when
it-
you picked the Dallas Mavericks when I said all this.
No,
stuff.
maybe I
should
should
have thought
have.
about that.
Maybe I should have.
Because I don't know when going into the series, these dudes could do all this shit. They can hit threes. They can do all X, Y, and Z. Now all of a sudden they go up against Boston. It's like, well, they can't do it. They don't have enough help. You picked up to fucking win, bro. What are you doing? Now the team's not good enough. Now everyone around is not good enough. Like, you should have thought about that. Like, that's why I said, why don't you just take Boston, bro? You would have been covered. And you knew they were about to win.
Bro, they shot 14% on wide open threes. Can't predict
I
that.
just know you convinced yourself just because you hated Boston to
can't-
pick Dallas.
you
You didn't think Dallas was
You
actually
can't
going to
pre-
win.
You can't predict that a team's going to shoot 14% from three.
You didn't think Dallas was actually going to win the series.
I
did
thought
you?
Dallas was going to win the series
Because right before the series started, before we went on and did our predictions, you said this could be a short series. Saying I don't want to see Boston and Dallas. You said that would be a short series. And then all of a sudden we go up and do our predictions. We do our predictions, and now it's Mavericks in 7. You were just looking for shit to try to convince yourself why Dallas would win, but never took the time to look to see why Boston could win. Because there were so many more reasons why Boston should win than Dallas.
To be fair to him, bro, he short series. He did say Mavs in 6, but then
Just
he's
said
like,
that,
nah. But that's what he said. He had time to sit with it. It's no longer Mavs in 6. It's Mavs in 7.
That's
And this
even
is-
worse.
and this
If
is
you
the
think Mavs in
revisionist-
6, that means that shit. I mean, the
He
Boston
changed his
game
mind.
2 games.
He changed his mind in 7.
And this is the revisionist history about the Mavericks, that there were some scrubs walking in. The Mavericks were a great
They
team.
were a
that
really good team.
that caught fire at the right time, and Luka just had his best series of the playoffs. Luka played well in this series offensively. Where he came up short was on his 3-point shot that he just hit a great clip of
He had a lot
in a
of
Minnesota
turnovers, too.
series. Yeah, he
Untimely
did.
turnovers that really
He
stacked up
wasn't
against
playing
them.
defense. He was complaining. He wasn't getting back. Like,
He was probably the worst defender in the series pretty easily.
easily.
I would
But
agree.
Luka, he missed his threes, and Kyrie Irving didn't hit his open shots. Like I said, you can't predict starters shooting 14% from 3. I know that Dallas's shooters,
Including Luka, though?
defenses,
right?
What I know, I thought Luka would shoot way better.
Got it.
But I knew that team's defensive game plan is to sag off on Dallas's shooters. What happened in the OKC series?
Yep.
In the OKC series, that was the exact
But
game
also,
plan.
where were they getting their shots from? They were not getting the same corner looks against Boston.
No,
they were
I
against
know, but I'm
OKC.
talking about the same concept where they're leaving these shooters open because they know they can't shoot that well or consistently, and they call fire because it just happens to be when you leave players wide open, they can actually hit a good percentage of their wide open looks.
But I will give a good call to Joel. He said you're not going to get those corner looks against Boston. That's simply not going to happen.
That's
You
some-
saw PJ. You
bit.
saw they got
a
some,
little bit, not many.
but a majority
But
of
some
the
of them.
attempts they
They
took
were
were from
tough.
that
A
wing,
quarter of what
and
they
they
got
were
the
tough.
previous series.
Tough looks
They were tough.
also.
Now, interesting fact: corner threes we know are the easiest 3-point shot to shoot. Above the break threes, PJ Washington and Derrick Jones Jr. are actually more efficient on those shots than corner threes. 17% from 3 wide open threes. You can't predict that. That's terrible shooting. If Dallas had a chance in this series, they had to shoot at least a little bit better. They didn't
Were
even
they
have to shoot.
better
40%.
efficiency-wise top key?
They were above the break from 3. They were more efficient from that shot.
Why do I remember hearing the stat that
I thought it was
PJ
the
Washington
opposite.
was terrible on the wing?
Because he was terrible from the corner too.
I just remember that series versus Minnesota where it really took his numbers down.
Honestly. What other clips we got though? I sent you a tweet. The tweet has like 3 clips. I don't know if it's one we played already.
Yeah, right now I'm trying to convert the stuff, but
Okay.
did you send me this? This was one of the things you sent me. This was like a speaker thing.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either. That's why I didn't play.
Might have been
it.
like lower quality video.
yeah, no,
that's why.
I was confused by it. Yeah, the downloads are all here though. Let me see.
I got.
Right,
we
yeah,
could-
just play it to the phone.
We also got well he does that. It's okay. I mean, we could just go through some tweets. We could just go through some tweets. I mean, we got some time. Oh, this was one of my favorite ones. This is from November 6th, 2023. The best wing duo in the NBA is Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels, who outplayed Tatum and Brown last night. Let's talk about it. Now I'm sitting here thinking they got no chance in hell to catch these guys. I mean, Jaylen Brown just is better than Jaden McDaniels at defense. So I don't really know what else we could really talk about there. We have another one. That's from Joel.
And see, we ain't talking about Tatum, Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is better than him.
That's
He played better against the Mavericks defense with
Tatum.
worse
Tatum is
spacing.
hot. Tatum
He's
has a
better
ring.
than him.
Tatum has a ring. Top 7. Top 5.
3 years
honestly.
older.
Okay, sick. Anyhow, this is from March 13th, 2024. This is when Jaylen Brown liked to tweet saying, if JB was number 1 on a team, he would average 30 points and be an MVP conversation. Joel proceeds to screenshot that. Yeah, the Celtics ain't win the championship, bro. LMAO. You got Jaylen Brown trying to be the guy, and Jason Tatum isn't actually good enough to be the guy.
He's not.
Come to find out that they're both the guy. Jaylen Brown wants to be on this team. Signed a $300 million contract.
Yeah.
Not sure if you saw that.
I find out Jaylen Brown was the guy for the entire playoffs. Eastern Conference Finals MVP and Finals MVP.
We
was the guy.
also have the Celtics are allergic to
He
winning.
actually took this team from Tatum.
The Celtics
shoes.
The Celtics are allergic to winning when it matters. I feel like winning the NBA Finals, is that classified as when it matters?
That sounds valid to me.
I'm not exactly sure
Your allergies cleared up.
at what point things actually matter. Let's see. Oh, John Tortorelli, here's a good one. When is this from? February 3rd, 2024.
He knew the tweet.
John was prepped up.
2020, Luka takes the Clippers to 6 without KP and Brunson for 3 games, or Brunson only plays 3 games. 2021, Luka takes the Clippers to 7 with the dejected KP Brunson bench. 2022, Dallas eliminates a 64-win team on the road, won by a combined 60 points in Game 6 and Game 7. And John quotes that tweet and says, "It's going to be awesome watching Luka put Boston to bed in the finals." Oh, brother. You sure? Did he put us to bed? I mean, I slept great last night. I slept fantastic last night. But this was a great one. Beyond the data. Oh, no, he deleted the tweet. Oh, God. I have it, but the tweet has been deleted.
Oh,
he replies to John or maybe somebody else saying, JB for Darius Garland solves Boston's playmaking need and Cleveland lack of a wing. John quotes and says, I really like this for Boston. We have Darius Garland instead of Jaylen Brown. That's looked at one of the worst moves ever. We have a Drew one in here, unfortunately.
That's okay.
This is May 24th. The Dallas Mavericks are winning the NBA Finals.
Whoa. I fixed that one.
It still says the Dallas Mavericks are winning the NBA Finals.
I kept it. And I quoted it right before the final started. And I said, I lied. Boston in 7. I kept it just so people knew that I wasn't deleting.
This was a good one. This is from 2021 from Joel V. Moran.
Oh, geez.
The Boston Celtics are a perfect example of why draft picks don't mean much. Danny Ainge refused to pull the trigger to acquire a superstar, and now they're facing the consequences. They should have traded Jaylen Brown for Jason Tatum for Kawhi, or is this Jaylen Brown for AD? Which, or was it DeMarcus Cousins? Which one did you want them to do?
Butler.
Not DeMarcus Cousins. I mean, you're talking about 2021, brother.
But there's a lot of moves that could have happened up into that point.
Man, listen, in that area, in that time frame, they just lost in the bubble, I believe.
That was when they lost in the first
round
to the Brooklyn Nets.
Okay, yeah. When Tatum had that one blow-up game, they lost in 5 games. They were terrible that year. Jaylen Brown got hurt. I mean, listen, maybe you should put a trigger in, just trade the draft picks. That's what got you Drew Holiday.
We didn't trade Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Traded Marcus.
Yeah, but still, I mean, Jason Tatum was always untouchable.
You knew what you were talking about.
If you traded Jaylen Brown in that moment for Anthony Davis, you're good, bro.
I like this team we have right now.
Oh, you should.
I got a couple more John ones. The Celtics won game 1 in 2022 too. Yeah, that looked pretty terrible now. This is the Jazz one. This is the Utah Jazz one I referenced earlier. Most playoff games in a 7-year span without winning a title. This was the Jazz from the 92 season to the 98 season. And then we also have the Boston Celtics from the 2017 season to the 2023 series.
At that point in time, I feel like that tweet was valid.
He said, this is really interesting. Will the Celtics be this generation's 90s Jazz? I don't know. Were they, John? Did the Jazz win? Did the Celtics win?
They didn't win.
Sometimes my memory, it gets screwed up. Are these ready? I could try to find some more.
What already? I haven't received anything from you in the last 2 minutes.
Forgot that was my job.
My goodness.
Doing everything here. Now I just don't know which ones we have and which ones we don't.
The tweets were pretty good, though.
Let's see. Did you get this one? This maybe. This
I
is one
respect you putting
recorded.
me in there though.
Yeah, for
No
sure.
one's safe.
No, I looked for everything.
The first two
oh,
you sent me was about Riv talking about how you guys haven't had rings since
That was a good clip,
the
honestly.
Bill
Was that
Russell
the
era.
you better pray to Allah?
Yeah. Wait, no. Was that one?
No, it wasn't that one.
Uh-uh.
You're thinking about something different. And then you sent the Kevin Durant debate that we had, I think, right?
No, that was a different one.
That was a different one.
That was a different one.
Okay. Maybe I'm bugging then. No, he did send it.
But you didn't play that one.
You guys are arguing about Tatum again, you know.
Yeah, about shit that happened like 4 years ago because that's the last time KD
This
did
is
anything
a lot of
decent.
talk for. Oh, okay. I thought there was the same clip. I guess it was just different links. Okay. I'm accepting these airdrops now.
Oh Lord.
I love that this is live. And the fans are just waiting with us to hear these clips.
Well, this is on Twitter. So
Because I'll be honest,
Grizzlies and the Celtics come together, propose a trade, Tyus Jones and Desmond Bane for Jaylen Brown. That's not terrible, bro.
It's not.
It's not terrible. It's not terrible. Desmond Bane is nice. That's not terrible.
no,
He's an elite shooting guard. He is an elite shooting.
Jaylen Brown players.
I like Desmond Bane probably
I just
more than
laughed
a
at Tyus
lot.
Jones, that's all.
Can we not even put him in this?
Oh Lord.
Most teams in the league, except the Celtics. Because what we've come to notice this postseason is that while it's nice to have a lot of wins in a wins-oriented league, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are redundant. They always have been, and probably always will be. This is the truth.
You could have just stopped that they always have been, John. You could have gave yourself some wiggle room.
The oh god kills me.
The answer is no. He's not worthy of that money. He's not that good of a player to warrant a supermax contract.
Yeah, hell no.
You better fucking respect him. That's the Finals MVP.
Like, I feel bad.
James
doing this
Harden
to
could
y'all.
never.
Like, what if this is someone's first time watching Pick a Side, and this is what they see?
They're probably ecstatic.
I will
They're
say
probably a
that-
bunch of Celtics fans.
Yeah. I will say to like add some color to those clips. A year ago, I felt like all those takes were at least valid. But the difference between now and then is that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown took notable steps forward. Jason Tatum as a playmaker is the biggest part. I thought, I should say, Tatum and Brown were redundant because in the passing element, there didn't really feel like enough getting downhill to the rim. Thank you, Drew. And Tatum just completely opened up that part of his game, and you can say he is an elite level playmaker. Again, the Celtics didn't shoot well enough in this playoff, specifically this finals appearance.
I said that
And
last season.
Jaylen Brown, his
his
off-ball defense was better than you'll ever see from
say
him before.
orgasmic. Like go that
And
far, sure.
There was a clip, a voiceover of him being mic'd up saying to Joe Mazzulla, if Luka gets the ball, he's not getting it back. He's going to have to take that up if he
Should
wants
we
to
read
actually
those
score.
stats?
Oh, yeah.
If you got them, be great.
Holy moly.
Jaylen Brown is an off-ball defender, always kind of left you wanting more. That was always the weakest part of his game. And this playoff run, he developed that a ton. And you even mentioned throughout this regular season that he had improved a little bit as a passer, and you saw that slight improvement. And compounding that with Jason Tatum's development and the supporting cast upgrades, Kristaps Porzingis game one performance, Drew Holiday throughout this series, that's the difference between the 2022 and the 2023 Celtics and this 2024 and beyond team.
All right, so the Luka Doncic versus Jaylen Brown matchup was the most time logged by a Celtics player versus any opponent in any round this postseason. It was 154.4 possessions, 32 minutes of matchup time. Luka scored 21 points. He was 9 for 22, 41% from the field, 2 for 8 from 3, 25%, 5 turnovers, and 2 shooting fouls.
Okay, this is the next clip.
Lord have mercy.
And now you got 1 year, which you better pray to Allah. You get it right. You better pray to the heavens.
here.
Y'all win a ring.
I'm
'Cause
straight.
If y'all don't win a ring, I don't want you to hear. It was Denver. I don't want to hear
Nah,
that.
there's no excuse, sadly.
excuse. I don't want to hear
here.
next year. I don't.
Come on, man. I would like, what else do I got to say?
I'm going to give you a lot of credit on this. You never showed any wavering at all.
No. The only team I was ever worried about was Denver. That was the only team that I went into saying that's going to be a real fucking dogfight if we have to play them. Any other team, I had 100% confidence I would be able to beat.
The truth was there was no excuse for you guys not to win this
No.
season. That's not a bad thing to say.
I have one more. It's like a minute long though, so I don't know if it's going to send. So I could just play it.
You can send it. It'll send.
That laugh is so one of one.
So left corner 3, PJ Washington, 24% this year. Right corner 24%, above the break 35.
All I care about is the
Regular season
postseason
or playoffs?
personally.
Okay, I'll look at the post.
Because the postseason, he played better than he ever played in his entire life. And that was really in first series and the second. Because against Minnesota, he truthfully was not that good. And obviously in the finals, he was.
So left corner 44%,
It's amazing.
right corner 32%,
Oh,
and then above the break 30.5%.
Yeah. That what is it? Left corner?
Because
Yeah.
that OKC series, he was insane.
Could
Yeah,
not
he was.
make.
He averaged like 20.
Yeah.
No,
He
no.
was the leading scorer like
That's
3 or
true.
4 times that series.
Mhm.
Left corner is the best friend.
Yeah, he was going crazy.
No,
I know
but even
OKC
then-
Trust me,
fans-
that's why I was so vocal about PJ not being a needle mover. He never played that well ever in his life until those two series.
he had his Caleb Martin moment.
First time in a real team. It's like Rui last year.
Fair enough.
Sure.
I
I'm
can see
not
that
going to
happen
discredit
every
that.
year, so.
I won't do that. To Rui's credit, though, at least
Very
Rui
similar
was
to
great every series.
Yeah.
Every series.
It was.
I'm trying to look for the clip. It's just they're named like different stuff.
Oh,
They're named
yeah.
weird.
Mm.
How did it look like? How did the clip look?
It's a screen recording,
Okay.
so it looks like this, the middle one.
Okay.
Drew's wearing a pink shirt on the right side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like 3.
I had
have
such
here.
I had a blast going back and looking at old videos and looking at old clips and going through bookmarks and trying to find just everything I could, because I knew I started doing once we went up 3-0. I was like, all right, this is over.
course.
Let me get my
I
let me get
always-
my ammo.
I always say there's winning the championship. That's the best moment by far. The second best is the day after when you get to watch First Take, Undisputed, every YouTube clip, every Twitter clip of just nothing but apologies and praise.
You said it's a minute and 1 second long.
Yes.
We played it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the one
played.
that you were talking over. Yeah.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah. I've been trying to like search for the same clip for like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
now.
I think that was everything then.
Okay. Okay.
Were you archiving those videos and tweets a year ago in advance?
Uh,
Or was that
like
more
only like
recent thing?
1 or 2.
Okay.
Most of these I was just going back and looking.
Okay, so we have a lot of super chats here. We're gonna get to them right now. We have one from Smitty Who, $20 donation. Dehls, you gotta cook. Celtics up, baby.
Sir.
Chris Bass goes, read him and weep, Mr. Moran. Your Mavs copium was getting shameless during the finals. Dehls, my king, show him no mercy.
Good super chat.
This is from Santos. Would you rather the Splash Brothers or Luka and Kyrie Irving?
Mm,
Wow.
Wow.
It's not even a
He
question.
cooked.
If you're giving
Splash
it
Brothers.
Draymond Green behind both of them, I
Oh
don't
my
know.
god,
Is
bro.
that a conversation? Does that become a conversation if
I
they
can't
both have
believe
Draymond?
Dallas went from the best duo in the NBA, the best offensive backcourt of all time, to just dust in 5 games, just locked up.
Best duo in the NBA really pissed me off. That's the one thing that
Shit,
really
Drew
got
Holiday
me.
and Derek White might be a better duo than them. At least if you want to win some games.
top 3 still locked.
Yo,
Top
that
3 locked.
backcourt right there is all time great. That shit right there is
They're like 7, bro.
Bernard Life goes, John, let PJ Washington bring the ball up. Tortorelli.
I can't believe I haven't brought that up yet. John, that honestly might be up there with some of the worst opinions I ever heard in my life.
They did it.
They did it. And it was like possession after possession after possession of dog shit.
They were trapping at like the half court line. If they started set a screen or something, they would double them sometimes.
That was terrible.
I just think
What do
there's
you
too
think
much
about
ball
that, John?
pressure.
My idea was getting Luka on the block, getting him on the post, thinking carry off the ball.
That
And,
brother needs
Whether
the
you're-
ball.
well, yes, but whether you're getting Jane Hardy in the game, which I think I had mentioned in that clip, to just add a level or a dynamic where
Shit wouldn't matter.
not everything's running through Luka. Now, obviously, when they tried that, I think it was in game 4, shit didn't work as well, but it was something you at least have to try to see something that is at least an adjustment. And what they were doing simply wasn't working those first 3 games.
I mean, to be fair, it's not like you said exclusively bring the ball up.
No, I
I know he
said-
meant just in possessions.
Uh-huh.
I said Jaden Hardy, I believe, and Dante Exum. And then I also think I said PJ Washington.
Jaden
yeah,
played some
it
of
wasn't
the
gonna
best
change the
garbage time
series.
minutes I ever seen in my life, though.
Who?
If Jaden, whenever he got into the game in garbage time, that brother was getting buckets.
CRB goes, hot take. Joel Moran is a worse basketball analyst than Skip Bayless.
Damn.
That's a hot take. That's a hot take. I don't know if I'd put him on skip level. That is pretty bad. I don't think he'll probably ever get there, truthfully.
Oh, it's not a hot take.
Can you remove most unbiased analysts out of your bio?
I still am. the
Nah,
most
nah,
unbiased.
nah,
you're
nah,
not.
nah, nah,
You're
nah,
not.
nah,
You're
nah,
not.
nah,
You're
nah,
not.
nah,
You're
nah,
not.
nah.
You're
When
not.
it comes to
You're not.
football, I'm with you. Basketball, no way.
I still am.
No.
Don't matter.
When it comes to football, I'll give that to you 10,000%. Basketball, there's no way.
You like if you have a hatred for the Celtics, you're gonna have some unbiased there. Like there's gonna be bias
Why do you
there.
hate them?
That's
Other than
why Journal.
like, is it just
You didn't get anything out in 3 hours. The journal didn't work.
Booty Liquor 2000 goes born and raised in LA. It's always fuck Boston, but I'm happy for Dehls.
nice?
I'm glad Joel didn't pull a duck, a riv.
Damn.
Oh.
And John is here already a 10 out of 10 show.
Thank you.
Booty Liquor does want parts with John.
CRB
Shout out to
goes,
you.
Joel, how does it feel that this is something you can't escape? And being a front runner for Luka.
Oh
Meaning
shit!
you think Luka was hurt. He does not have a third option. Just accept you were wrong.
Damn.
What does that mean? Does not have a third option.
I guess the third option, the scoring option. Like you had Kyrie, but no one after.
Oh, meaning because he said, meaning you think Luka was hurt. He does not have third option.
I don't,
I
or
don't
just
know.
saying there was just not enough on the squad.
I guess. I mean, listen, Luka just came off the greatest series he had in his playoff run against Minnesota.
By far.
Do we have pick and roll numbers, defensive numbers out?
No,
Oh.
I don't think so. Maybe we
that-
got to get it for synergy or something.
Yeah, Al Horford was locking his ass up. Lucas, that is. So it's
I'll
probably
be
not
judged.
bad.
Xavier
Yeah.
Tillman too.
Xavier-
Woo.
and
Bro.
Sam Hauser.
All the bigs.
That's not
whenever-
something you was expecting though. So don't pull out your chest like you was expecting.
I want to say, well, no, because number one,
you was not expecting a pick and roll defense to be as
number
elite
one,
it was.
it's Luka. He should be taking
Correct.
advantage of
Correct.
that.
That's fair.
But number two, if Al Horford had to guard anyone on the perimeter, someone as like Luka's style, who's a bigger body, is going to try to be more physical, not as quick as someone who's smaller. I would rather that than a small little guard like Steph Curry, for example, in
Drive on
2022,
you.
where he's just done.
You know, I agree, but it didn't matter whether it was Sam Hauser or Al Horford. Kyrie and Luka didn't take advantage of any of the mismatches. And I understand
White guys
they're
guard.
not terrible defenders.
Those white guys.
I know
do their
they're
thing.
trying, but a lot of that is just them missing. You know,
White
it's,
guys
it's great
guard, man.
contest. You're doing what you can do, but they just miss shots. And
Last
it's a
night-
make or miss league.
Last night I felt like Josh Green is the only person that can make a single
Oh my!
shot.
If it
Not
wasn't for
4-4,
Josh Green, it would have been a 30
it would have
point
been a
game.
45.
He
point
tried his
game.
hardest.
There were a handful of possessions, particularly when Porzingis came in, where I'm
Yeah.
pick and roll. Luka was feeding Derrick Jones Jr. with a filthy behind the shoulder pass. He bricks that. Maxi Kleba, I mean, I think someone tweeted he should never get back in Dallas area code. I agree. I don't want to see
Nah,
him
his
ever again.
shoulder's messed up.
It
bro.
is badly. I don't know why they're playing him. And then you look at guys like Kyrie coming off pick and rolls wide open. He really could not hit a single thing.
At least
His
in
pass
Boston.
was pretty
In
good last
Boston,
night, though.
In Boston.
His passing, those oops that he was throwing were tough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Down
one
by
to
12.
Lively,
That was about it.
baseline was fire.
The one to Lively early in the
That
game.
was
Yeah.
nice.
Alex Viveros goes, just here to give some love after Boston won.
This is a
Shout out to
$50 donation
$50
too.
super chat.
$50
Shout out to
$50.
Alex. You got to
Who
clap
love
for that.
Boston?
Mwah.
Booty Liquor 2000 goes, John, I got your back. Don't worry.
What's he mean by that?
There's multiple meanings to that.
When it comes to booty liquor. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Next super chat is from Nah. Congrats to Dehls and Celtics. Now all the pick-a-side guys have a championship team in the 2020s, except Joel.
Oh,
Time
shit.
to flip to a winner, Mr. Moran.
Yeah.
I just won this past football season with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah,
No
And
way.
Patrick
bro.
Mahomes.
Not gonna lie, I don't count that.
I can't believe you just said that out loud.
I don't count that.
That's most definitely a dub.
I don't count that.
Y'all all thought the Chiefs weren't gonna
That
go back to back. You thought the Dolphins
That-
were
but
gonna
no.
win the Super Bowl.
No,
There's a
it's
difference
not.
between
Yes,
being wrong
a
and it
fa-
being your team.
Correct.
There's a difference.
Correct.
But Mahomes is my favorite player, but it's not my team in the sense of that's my team. But I'm saying that was the team I had winning the Super Bowl this
Win a
past
ring,
season.
man. You like fucking 7,000 players. You have the Knicks. Like, win a damn ring.
Yeah,
Knicks
that's
coming
Mahomes.
soon. Knicks are coming soon, bro. Don't worry.
Knicks are coming soon.
Coming soon.
Even though people hated the Kawhi proposition.
They did hit it. I think
They-
they hit it because you said that he might retire.
You did tweet it out like the day after.
This
No,
looks
no,
like
no,
a man
no.
that's ready to retire.
No,
that was crazy.
I'm talking about the video of just the Kawhi trade in general. People said that giving up Randall for Kawhi is too much.
Oh, there
That's a
was.
horrible.
That's what
opinion.
they said. They
Did
said
I put that one
he's
up on
injury prone.
Instagram? I don't think so. I think it
Heat
was too
check
long.
goes. I know y'all saw Tatum trying to stat pad the last 5 minutes to
Oh
try to
my
win
God.
MVP. And his face when they called Jaylen Brown for MVP was priceless.
I think that's overplayed. It was not that bad.
Yeah.
He was smiling, and then someone said
The
something.
issue is he was trying to stat pad
So obvious.
and was missing.
Mhm.
He was playing so much better when he was actually trying to win the game.
You think if he went off for 40, he's winning Finals MVP?
I do.
probably.
he
I
drops 40.
That's
Yeah.
more
Even if it's
signature.
in garbage time.
Because
I
that
think
also
it's-
would have meant he would have shot over 40%.
Yeah.
Then now his efficiency with JB is comparable. JT's defense all series long was pretty damn great. Not JB's, but it's pretty great in his playmaking.
That second half was ugly at both sides. Like, I think both teams combined for like 40 points in the second half.
Yeah, there was no heart in that second half.
Nah.
Now, you guys not giving me the Chiefs is ridiculous because I will say
They're not your team,
I will
bro.
say
They're not your team.
I will say this.
I just say that because you're not a Chiefs fan, you're a Jets fan.
I'm a Mahomes
Like,
fan,
even
though.
if Lamar won, that's not like my team. Like, that's my favorite. It's different.
If Jalen Hurts won with the Eagles, you would be jacking that.
Like
But
I'm
the
not
Eagles in
like I'm not. Am I
2022?
counting the
I don't
Rams
think
at
so.
the Super Bowl for me?
You're 100%
think so.
Like
That's
the
fair.
Rams, it's not a
That's
Super. It's not
Wait,
a
no,
Super Bowl for
2022,
me.
I'm sorry.
The Rams aren't a
Well.
Super Bowl for me. I called it.
One.
It's not a Super Bowl for me.
That was just an agenda. It's
Like
different.
my
Yeah,
last
versus an agenda is
football
different. Hey, they're
championship was 2016. That was my last championship.
You jacked the Rams though, bro.
I mean, I was right for the show purposes, but as a fan,
You literally jumped
I
on them
think-
this year. You said Ramley.
of course, because I thought that they'd be good and win a playoff game.
Is that not one of the
But-
teams that we count for Drew? The Rams?
No,
It's not.
It's more of an
It's an
agenda. It's
agenda.
agenda.
when they
Thank you.
say your team
John's
won,
actually
I'm
has
thinking
a
of the
brain
Lakers,
reset
I'm
right
thinking of
now.
the Broncos.
I
When
usually
you said
don't.
my teams, I'm
Sorry.
thinking of the Celtics, I'm thinking of the Jets.
So the Dolphins are your team.
The Broncos are my team.
So the Dolphins
Honestly,
are
I would
not there.
consider the
either.
Dolphins also your team.
Tua is my favorite player,
You're
but
just
at the
saying
same
that for
time,
the sake of this conversation.
no. But Tua again, Tua is
Any
my
other
favorite
moment I
player.
ask you the same question, you would jack the Dolphins.
My favorite team. I am a fan of the Denver Broncos. That's obvious.
But the Super Chat was also team.
Yeah,
In the context of the Super Chat, it was about the NBA, though.
Yeah, you're right. No, the NBA I'm winless.
it's
right now.
okay.
No, but the NFL, this past season wasn't as special as the Eagles and Chiefs one.
Yeah,
The Eagles and Chiefs one was
that was lit.
that was the greatest
That was-
sports football moment that I've seen in the last 10 years.
That was a great
Wow.
moment for you and
Yeah, no.
Chiefs Nation.
Mine was seeing Luka Doncic fell out. That was my favorite moment.
That was pretty
crazy.
crazy.
You better fucking challenge that shit. Fuck on the bench, man. Come on.
That was crazy.
Nah, he was acting soft as shit.
Yeah,
over
that
here
was
capping
bad.
for clear
Yeah.
bias officiating, man.
I mean,
Stop.
I mean,
You think that the officiating was valid?
Luka put
They,
them
they
in.
cooked Boston.
Luka put the officials in a
That's what I'm
position to.
Yeah,
give those
bro. He had
fouls,
4 fouls
so.
in the fourth quarter.
Scott
You
Foster's the
can't-
best official in the game. He should have been officiating since game one.
John, I just appreciate that you're not like this.
You can't. No.
At least
I
you
mean,
have some
Luka-
decency to
Oh,
you.
man.
Why didn't Scott Foster officiate the entire series? Why he just get game four?
You need different reps, bro.
Tony Brothers, he was biased towards Dallas all year long. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Tony Brothers would tech up Tatum for screaming.
Mentioning
Happened in,
officiating
in the
Come
playoffs.
on, bro. You're better than this. You're better than this.
Jaylen
Look.
Brown clearly pushed PJ Washington behind the back on that fast
Okay,
break.
yeah, like he did have, but it's
that
also
was such a
like
crucial
there's a
possession.
minute left in the game. You know, refs are gonna.
Should we blame
And
Jason
honestly,
Kidd
bro,
for not keeping his challenge? We
and
should also do
honestly,
that, right?
Yes.
PJ came up short at the rim.
We could still hold the officials accountable.
Even
for that
if he
moment.
didn't touch him,
So
he
bang,
would have
bang.
missed that shot, bro.
You don't think that was a foul?
It's
He
Yeah,
would have
I
missed
do.
the shot.
I do think it was a foul.
One at
The,
least.
the ball. No, I'm saying the ball was at the rim.
It is, yeah, but he got pushed. That's why his elevation was kind of stopped. If you get pushed from the back,
But like
you're gonna
Tatum
go
also
lower.
got fouled in that game. Like,
Yeah.
like
Like
I
2
understand, but
plays
that was such a
prior.
crucial moment in the
Not 2 plays. I'm guessing.
yeah. And then game 3, this guy Luka speared Jaylen Brown. No whistle.
Listen, all I'm saying, if it was fair officiating,
Stop.
it would
I
at
wanna
least
hear
be
it.
Celtics in 6.
Oh Lord
All
have
right?
mercy.
All right, game 2. Give me game 2. Give me game 2. Give me one game. Give me game 2.
At what point were they even leading the second half of game 2?
No.
No,
At
they just
any
made
point?
a comeback. No, they just made, and it was a late comeback.
It
Too.
was.
It was a
That
late.
you guys
late
were up
comeback.
double digits. Y'all just like we won this one. We're on to
No,
we're on to
wasn't that game
Dallas.
3?
That was game 2.
Which one was the
Game 3, you were
was
up
the-
21, and then they came back.
Yeah.
That's when Luka fouled. Game 2,
No, game 2.
you guys
was,
were up double digits,
Yeah, that's true. That's
and
true.
then you guys
But
kind
it
of
was always like a 6 to 8
yeah,
point
yeah,
game.
yeah. It was a great
Brandon
game.
Roopchan goes, congrats, Celtics. Dell's been saying this all year.
The only great game was game 2.
RJ to God goes,
That was
I
an
understand
exciting
we
game.
should congratulate the Celtics championship, but goddamn, it's about time. It's not like y'all won 50 plus games 8 times since 08.
Okay.
That's a hater. That's a hater super chat. Appreciate the super chat. Hater super chat. Really
Do
bad.
you want us? Should we win like 30 games and not make the playoffs instead?
Yeah, and
No.
I so much would rather my team be great and just like I have optimism next season that we can win.
I think this is pretty reasonable. They're all highlighting that the Celtics are expected to do this, and so like Jason Tatum may be making it
That's
seem
one.
like
That's one of the hardest things to do.
But I will also
I
say
agree.
this: expectations only started post 2022 season,
yeah,
not
in the
before
finals.
2022.
They never really had.
After the season,
Yeah.
when they had one of the best in-season turnarounds we've ever seen, lose, even though people thought that they should have beat the Golden State
They were
Warriors.
favored, yeah.
But there was only expectations last season and this season. Last season they fell short, but it motivated them. You saw Jaylen Brown. I won't talk about JT because I don't think that he elevated the same way as some of the other players. Where Drew Holiday, you could argue this was his best showing of basketball that he's ever had in his
50, 40,
NBA career.
95.
He was
I would say
Derek White.
2022 was better. He was so damn good defensively.
2022 or 2021?
Oh, I meant 2021. When he took Chris Paul and Devin Booker out of games.
I'll say this. I don't
Offensively
disagree.
crazy.
Offensively,
And he
by
was
far.
and
Oh, yeah.
defensively,
Defensively, he was
he was
OT.
damn near just as good. But he was
Derek
going
White
against Kyrie.
had all-star movements for him this season. He was unbelievable this year. Kristaps Porzingis, unfortunate that he was not healthy, but they had conversations at that point at the time in the season where he was the second best player on the team. To me, that was always insane. But Jaylen Brown, getting back to his elite level defense after last year, there was accusations of him not being a good defender anymore. The constant comments about his off-ball defense, the fact that he couldn't handle the ball, the fact that he couldn't play make. He shut him the hell up.
Shit, Drew was so good this series that they were trying to get switched on Derek White and attacking. And Derek White is an all-NBA.
Apparently, there were real conversations about co-MVP with Drew Holiday and Jaylen. How crazy is that?
Nah, Drew didn't get any votes.
It was a clean sweep.
It was 8 Jaylen, 3 Tatum.
All right, well, first take lies.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a bad thing to lie about.
I know
Why
they
would
really
lie
did.
about that?
I think Stephen A. and Brian Windsorce were talking about it.
Wow, they're pretty much. Maybe they just meant it between them.
Maybe.
Who knows? Even then, I don't think that's the case.
Drew was
as great as Drew was.
Let me not say more impactful than Jason Tatum, because that's probably rude to say, because obviously the attention that he draws on offense. But
here's the best player.
More
in game
consistent
too.
By far.
Hey, listen,
it's big too.
I think with Drew Holiday, he's given everything and more. I mean, I did not expect this from Drew Holiday. He just got cooked by Jimmy Butler.
Did you know in the 21 playoffs he shot 40%?
Yeah, I mean, he was shooting 39% every year in Milwaukee because they always put him in a role where he was basically overburdened. And Boston did a fantastic job. Joe Mazzulla did a really good job utilizing him off the ball.
Fair.
Again, I mean, as a short roller for a guy at 6'3", he had the first 6 points of last night's game.
Missed a few
consistently.
Yeah.
But overall,
as the series progressed, he did miss more and more.
He shot like 75% at the rim. Damn near automatic. He was putting Josh Green big cycles. He's putting him in Wonderland. Drew Holiday around the rim was fantastic. And just in that secondary role, we saw a version of him which was never really able to be activated in Milwaukee because they didn't have multiple perimeter creators. And Boston, he had 2 or 3. And that's what allowed him to really be the best version of himself.
He's special, man. He's so special.
We got more super chats?
Yeah. So Brandon Roop Channing also goes, basketball is over. Now on to baseball. Let's go Mets.
Yes, sir. We winning?
Mets have been fringe
We've
cooking.
won like 6 in a row.
I'm going to the game tomorrow. Shout out to Garrett Cole. My brother in Christ is back.
Heat check goes acting so goofy about a team.
Hand injury.
Ooh, Aaron Judge?
Yeah, he got hit in the hand.
Damn, that sucks.
He's out for a month.
Mets are up 1-0.
So Heat check goes acting so goofy about a team that played every team without their star player. LMAO cakewalk.
Let's keep it a stack. Jimmy Butler's healthy. You're picking the Heat over the Celtics? No. Donovan Mitchell's healthy. You're taking the Cavs over the Celtics? No. Tyrese Halliburton's healthy. You're taking the Pacers over the Celtics? No. And the Dallas Mavericks were healthy. It's a tough debate to win.
Santos goes, Dehls is the only one on the pod to have his team win the finals. I'm not counting D riding teams.
Wow, Santos.
Respect that.
Yeah.
So that
Santos
means Rivs doesn't count, and then Drew's doesn't count.
Yeah.
That's what
Me
he
not
said
counting is ridiculous.
It's because Bron and Curry, I'm assuming.
Bron and I.
You're locked. I get it.
Come on. That's ridiculous. Riv. Serious allegations. The brother's a Bulls fan. Suddenly he shifted over to being a Golden State Warrior fan.
Just be like, yeah, you know what? My team sucks. Let me go like the fucking best point guard of all time.
Listen, a young kid said LeBron James, that's going to be the GOAT one day. He was right.
He's been around for you put in time, you know.
Santos goes, I'm glad we found Joel. The font poster was a great help.
Those good numbers.
Paul D goes, would you rather Luka and Kyrie or Ish Smith and Nick?
Shout out to our brother Paul. Congratulations, bro.
Yeah. Would you rather?
It's a tough conversation. What do you think?
2016.
Gabriel Delgado goes, not gonna lie, JT is cringy. I cringed so hard when he tried copying Kevin Garnett, Kobe, and Curry, saying what else they're gonna say. He's trying to be everyone except himself.
I got something to say about that because I'm a Logic fan, and Logic's like one of my favorite.
Where are you going with this?
No, listen to this.
Logic
Logic gets a lot of hate because he's corny. He's corny, right? And in a lot of his music, he pays homage to past greats, and he'll basically take their samples. Childish Gambino, Kanye, Nas, Biggie. And because of that, people never found him original. It's like, make your own music to put yourself in your own lane. And with Tatum, he does something very similar. He's always trying to pay homage to past greats who inspired him, like Kobe and KG. So he's doing that cringy shit. We did it. I want to fucking turn off the TV. And then I don't know if he did. Man. I don't know if no, it was not. I don't know. Did he do the Kobe pick? I imagine he did.
He didn't.
Low key, his was tough. His pick was tough.
Okay.
In the back room, just chilling, leaning on
I
the
saw
wall,
that.
the
That
trophy
was cool.
with his kid.
I was
That was fire.
Kobe's is the toughest picture.
I also
ever.
thought
Huh?
his
Kobe's is the toughest picture.
It
ever.
is.
It's
Yeah,
legendary.
You can't recreate that.
James
Even though
Wiseman
people
tried
try.
to.
Even if he tried,
Kyle
he threw it
Kuzma
just for
tried
jokes.
to.
The
in the bubble.
toughest shit was him and Deuce after the game. I should have tear watching that.
That
That was dope.
Pick is
That was
all
Fire.
time.
That was
good.
like Rajon Rondo at this cat in the 2021 championship,
Him-
sipping the champagne. I
Him
think
and
it
his
was
mom too.
very similar.
Did you see the video of
I
him
didn't
and his
see that.
mom?
What they
What they
gonna
gonna say now?
That's also
Yeah, that was
Steph
dope.
Curry.
It is kind of similar though. It's like Tatum doesn't have to pay homage to these past greats. He can be his own self.
You saw the commercial? I forgot. Was it Gatorade or Jordan? I forgot what commercial.
right
he
after
had.
the
Right
game
after.
ended.
He's like, yeah. He's like, what they gonna say now? Or better yet, I hope they keep talking.
Kato
I know you like
227 goes, as a Vikings and a Celtics fan, it is a good feeling to have a championship.
Yes, sir. Vikings and Celtics. That's
Dynamic
yeah,
combo.
I mean, I'm fucking Jeff.
The Vikings ain't giving you that. They not.
I know that we're talking about basketball right now, but
They're gonna be a good team.
the judge getting hit in the hand, honestly, my heart hurts.
Does it look bad?
He stayed in the game, scored, and then they took him out, went straight into the locker room. He got
Like
pulled.
X-rays. Yeah.
But you don't go up and in on judge. That's like rule number one of superstars. You don't pitch them inside one, their hands are too fast, they pull, it's a home run guaranteed. But you don't go up and in for fucking obvious purposes. That shit just pissed me the fuck off.
What do you mean
Apologize.
by up and in?
Up and
Sorry.
in? You're hitting, and the guy comes up and in at you. That almost comes near
Ball.
your face
Oh.
and then at your hands.
Miyagi Fat Ghost goes, Mavs fans here never liked Luka. People were
Wow.
confusing high usage with superstardom.
Wow.
Just because you get all the shots don't make you that guy. Inefficient like Russ, Luka is a regular season small forward.
Am I gonna have to go back to?
Tasia type guy, not the lead.
That's wild.
Am I gonna have to go back to stamping James Harden 2.0, but like a glorified James Harden?
I
That was
100% know that this is not a Mavericks fan.
No.
There's somebody that just said that to make his opinion feel more validated.
I love that.
He's a Dallas guy.
That's a real hater.
No,
Yeah.
that's a genius.
Listen, it is very smart. It's a smart tactic because you read Mav fan. Okay, he knows what he's talking about the Mavericks.
How
Then
would
he
you-
hits you with something.
That's
How
that
would-
makes
how
sense.
would you
Saying
guys
he's
grade
inefficient like
Luka's-
Russ is where you lose.
How would
me,
you
my
grade
man.
Luka's finals performance?
Strong C.
C. Nothing better than the C. You can't. I mean,
That's what it was. That's
I
what
agree.
it was.
C at best.
C.
See, at absolute best, I'd say C
No
minus.
way
I don't
we
know.
can get higher than
See,
C.
at absolute best, I don't know about that.
Brother, I'm not thinking a C+. Nothing with a plus,
No.
unless we're considering a D.
D plus.
I mean,
D plus, I could get.
I
behind.
can't give him a B.
Hell no.
You
No,
can't give him a B
no,
minus.
No.
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 Come on, man.
Crazy,
Maybe
bro. If
C
he just
plus,
shows up in a
if you want,
couple of
really.
those games, it could
You
be
really
a
want
game
to go
series.
three.
It could be a 3-2
That's
series.
Him fouling out,
Game
brother.
three.
Him fouling out of game 4 or game 3, huge issue.
And
And
even
then
in game 2, fourth quarter,
every
he's hitting
single-
some shots.
almost every single
I mean,
game in the second half,
Elimination game, he
struggling
was dog
offensively.
shit.
And then going 1 of 21 from 3 of the final 3 games. I mean, it just wasn't a series, but we'll be back. I mean, he's going to learn from this. I think it was Windhorse at a good clip talking about
He
it. I
did
agree
play
with him.
better than Tatum.
Guys,
So Tatum was a D.
Mm,
in the context of his team's offense,
Tatum was
no.
also a C.
Tatum was I'd
B
give him a
minus.
B minus. Yeah,
'Cause
I'd
he
give him a B
won.
minus. In the context of his team's offensive performance, Tatum was the one who was driving that. Without Tatum, you have respectfully.
Fair.
We'll talk about this in a little bit, so I won't go too deep into it.
You know what? You're right. And I apologize. I'll accept being wrong there. It
Tatum
was
had
probably a
better
B
years.
minus.
Tatum was better than Luka.
Anthony Perez goes, GG Dehls. Don't think this the last we see of Dallas or Boston in the finals. I'm hurting, but it was an amazing season for Dallas.
Definitely see one of these teams again.
Ricky goes, Dallas needs to go get Trey Murphy. Who do you think we should get?
We're just giving away Trey Murphy.
Ricky, love you, brother. Appreciate everything.
I love it
That being
today.
said, hold that.
And then he
Pelicans
also
are never
goes,
getting rid of him.
by the way, Dehls, I still hate Boston. Congrats, Mickey Mouse ass ring.
We beat your team. So
There's-
you're a Mickey Mouse. You just have make it.
I don't know.
Josh Boateng goes, can we please stop the Kyle and Luka backcourt narrative? Kyrie said after the Wolves series, them being the best backcourt won't matter until they win the chip.
It's a fact. That's why having them at 1 was insane. It was such fucking glaze.
I never had them
bro.
at number 1 backcourt. What are you talking about? Bro?
You had them at number 1 duo.
Yeah.
Yeah, not backward. Backward
Same
is
thing.
different.
It's kind of if you have
If
the best
you have number
duo,
one
it means the
duo,
best
what-
backcourt.
What?
Because we was talking about number 1 backcourt all time. It was an all time versus a
So
right
what
now.
number-
duo.
but
No,
said
no, but
they're
you had
most
to make the
talented.
number 1 duo.
And you
Yes,
also said
currently in the
number-
NBA.
Yeah, that was fucking glazing.
I'm not gonna lie. You
That
give,
was
you
munching.
give
That was
Luka
eating.
and Kyrie or Zingis.
They're
And
not
that's
the
supporting
best.
cast.
They're
They're
not.
still-
They're not
they're
the
up there,
best.
bro.
They're not the best.
winning
duo.
First of all, Porzingis didn't even fucking play.
I know. But the game 1, he did play, and he
He's
made
the best
the biggest
player.
impact. on
Game
the
I think
one,
he's the best player
shout
in
out.
game
He
one.
won
That's
us
why
that
y'all
game.
won that
He won
game.
us that game.
Yes.
Yeah.
KP did.
It was
Yeah,
pretty
but
first
game
quarter
one, it
was,
was KP.
that first quarter was nuts.
It was
KP
pretty
went
cool.
too.
Third quarter, Luka came on.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
8-point game. JP shut that shit down.
It was both of them for sure.
Him doing that off the bench too, right after Bill Walton passed away, too, was pretty fire.
Yeah.
I thought that
That's
was really
facts.
cool.
Damn, you saw the bigger picture right there.
That was sick.
Anthony Perez goes, Dehls, why do you hate Luka?
No hate for Luca. I have no hate in my heart for anybody. But I think there's room for players to get scrutinized and criticized. And I think this is a series that Luca is going to look back on his career, and it could be a turning point, one way or the other. He could turn around and really just get into better shape. I think that's what it takes. I'm not sitting here trying to, I know people go out there do the fat jokes and all that stuff. I'm not saying
You
that.
definitely hit Jenny Craig.
You have to be in good shape to play in the NBA. He's not out there in bad shape. He's in better shape than 90% of Americans, 99% of Americans. But you have to be in better shape than 0.1 of players. And at those 0.1, he's in like the bottom 0.1 of those players. So I think that's the biggest thing for him. If he could just get a little bit quicker, maybe lose a few pounds and just get lighter on his feet, I think that would do a world of wonders for him, because I still think that strength to size is going to be there.
I just don't know why Luka gets questioned on conditioning when Jokic doesn't. I just think
Because
He won a
Jokic
championship.
in great
There was
condition
also a
last postseason.
noticeable change last year in his body.
Yeah. And I feel like this year, Jokic, I did not see him gas. He'd be running up and down the court.
He's a pretty damn
40
good- he's a pretty
minutes,
good-
and he was
pretty damn
locked.
good.
And he's bigger than Luca.
I'll be honest. If someone came to me and said he's top 5 best conditioned players in the game, I'd say, yeah, I
for
agree.
his size, bro, that's crazy to keep doing that.
I agree.
yeah, but it's
He's in great
him.
shape.
It's him against Minnesota versus if he had to guard Boston and close out. How you got to close out against Boston, and you got to carry a 40% usage on offense. It looks a lot different.
I mean,
I
That's low
think
to
anybody
big.
would
usage
gas.
is still OD.
It's not 40%.
I mean, because that's just Dallas's offense.
You also
This
consider,
series,
too,
Luka had way more usage this series than he had in the other 3. I know he had a lot of usage the other 3, but this one, just because
always
Kyrie
had high
couldn't
usage.
get going, he really had to shoulder everything.
Game 3 and game 4, Kyrie, there's nothing you could say bad about him. But every game in Boston, that brother forgot how to play ball. Shocked the shit. Well, let me not say I was shocked, really, but
Daniel Guerrero goes, Joel, what moment was more embarrassing? Being completely wrong about the Celtics and players, or being wrong about Zach Wilson?
ooh, that's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
Zach
do you
Wilson.
think? Yeah.
Zach Wilson.
I mean,
Zach
it's pretty
Wilson,
easy,
man,
right?
Come on.
It's the biggest fucking bust of all
Yeah, I
time.
know.
Are you still a?
But the Celtics were also a double whammy, because it's you're wrong and I'm right.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
No, Zach Wilson.
I
hurt,
was
bro.
there with you with Zach. I was
What
had
happens?
blind faith.
What happens if Zach Wilson gets a starting job week 1 and plays well for a few weeks?
Not a chance.
I doubt he's no. I don't think there's a shot. he
You know
wins a
that
starting
he's
job.
been the
What if
worst
he
one at
plays well?
Broncos camp.
They said the worst.
Really?
He's been the worst. No, like
If
I've
he
been
played
reading
well
the
for a
beat.
few
Thanks for
games.
the
He's been
7th round
terrible.
pick.
Would you root for the Broncos? If he played well for a few games, like week 14, week 12,
Do you hate the Broncos?
comes
too?
in relief.
I don't hate the
Are you
Broncos.
gonna have the
Missed a
same
few
relationship with
games.
Zach as you do like Sam Darnold now?
Yes. No, like I wish Zach is successful. I do.
Me too, but he won't be.
No. He's been terrible at the camp right now.
It's Bo.
I
next
don't
time.
hate the Broncos.
Yeah, Bo
I
Nix
don't hate the
plays the
Broncos.
Bo Nix.
You hate the
We're
you hate
fake
the
up.
Celtics.
I do hate the Celtics. I don't
You
hate
won
the
it.
Broncos.
You won the
though.
championship.
I know you did.
Say it.
The Celtics won the championship.
Cool.
Yo, keep it in your
Beautiful.
pants.
That's why I got this here, buddy.
Now, bro, honestly though, I don't hate the Broncos. I just hated how much you hyped them up.
It's
When
my
you got-
fucking team.
When you got Russ, bro, you said 15 wins at one point.
I said 14 for sure.
14,
we're going
yeah,
to the
facts.
AFC.
That was the number.
I didn't say we were going to the Super
14
Bowl
is
though.
insane.
I didn't
Oh,
say we
you
were
did have you losing. In the,
Has to be
that's what I was
AFC.
like, bro. Just fuck. You win 14 games. You're gonna lose. Just
to
pick
the
up.
Bills. We were losing to the Bills, man. I think it
man.
was Bills Bucks that year.
Because then the next year, second year in the system, things would have been right. That was the year.
Yep.
Can't be too easy.
Ricky goes, Dell, stop it, bro. You've been wrong all year on Dallas, and you have too, Drew. Luka is still the best.
Tell
Fuck
you
'em.
what,
They
I
lost.
was wrong till I was right.
I don't give a fuck. I should have just kept hating nonstop. I'm running to the
Eventually would have
juggernaut.
been right. Would have been like him last year at the Heat.
Listen, I didn't like Drew's face turn. Can I admit that? I didn't like his face turn for the Dallas Mavericks. When you decided you're going to pick them in the finals, I was like, come on, man. Just go with the Celtics.
But I did.
You did eventually.
You were really pulling at heartstrings too with this series. At least at first. At first, definitely.
Yeah. When this fucking series ended and
if we
they won in
recorded the
5.
podcast a couple days earlier, you might go Mavs.
Nah, I would have picked Boston.
Okay.
I would have picked Boston. After the series, that it was a couple days, and I was just like, yeah, I'm going with Boston.
Hey, we got D Mills in the chat. Shout out D Mills.
D Mills in here.
D Millie's here because he knows that there's another person that can help him cope through selecting the Dallas Mavericks to win.
And he was wrong about a former second overall pick too. He says I was wrong about Mitch Trubisky.
I respect that.
Oh, D Mills.
Nah, D Mills posted up in the Tatum's was
no shame.
That was an elite pick.
Yeah, they're an ugly shoe.
Whoa, ugly shoe is crazy.
That is crazy.
He's got like almost every colorway is hard. I'm not gonna lie.
It's not better than Anthony Edwards' shoe.
Anthony Edwards has probably the best shoe.
One has the ring.
Really?
Oh shit. Oh shit.
You
What do you say to that?
No, this is what I
What do
hate
you
the
say to
most
that?
about Tatum.
Yeah,
One's got a ring.
All I'm saying is I'm jacking a lot of shit about JB. Top 3 shooting guard. Why not?
Dodge goes, I need Dehls to go off like he did with the Jets losing streak. I'm dumbfounded just how stupid you guys are sometimes.
Damn. Did that not go hard enough? Should I more?
That was firm. The quiet assassin shit was elite. To bounce back and say, look at that, I haven't said shit and he's already panicking. Nah, that was tough.
Jose Gonzalez goes, who should the Mavs go after this offseason to take them to the next level and have an actually good chance at winning the NBA Finals?
Trey Murphy's
That's
not
a
a bad
great
idea,
question.
truthfully.
You're not going to get him, but
Nah,
that would be a dream scenario.
That would be
Mikal
just
Bridges
get
would be
wings.
great, but that's a hard
Mikal,
get.
sure. What do you think about PG? No way in hell.
They're not going to
No,
cap
I think instead of
cap
naming
room.
names,
How don't they have cap room?
the amount of money they're spending on their
Tim
top
Hardaway
two.
Jr.'s contract.
Facts.
They've got a lot of mid-level contracts. Honestly, for Dallas, I think they should be focusing on continuity. Derek Lively developing, Jane Hardy getting more opportunity off the bench as your third ball handler, and then retaining guys like Derek Jones Jr.
I think they
focusing on just having a full first year of continuity. They
Yeah.
haven't had that in 2 years.
I agree with that.
I think you need a little bit of a boost offensively on the wing,
Yes.
though. I think like Derek Jones definitely showed some of his deficiencies in this series. PJ to an extent too. And listen, Luka, of course, 25 years old, you're chilling, but Kyrie's 33. You know what I mean? Like, of course, you're gonna have a future there with Luka, but the Kyrie Luka era, we can't really look at it more than like 2 years or so because once Kyrie's entering that age, who knows if he's the same player?
Yeah, I think Dallas right now, they have 2 to 3 more years of Kyrie playing at all-star level. I don't know about a specific player, but they just need a wing who can shoot and defend. And that's the biggest premium in the league right now.
I've got some names for you guys. For the Mavericks to upgrade their team this all season, some different players that can take them to another level. The first guy would be a lot of people, very controversial player, not going to want to bring him in, Miles Bridges. That's like one guy that if the Mavericks, you're not going to pay a whole lot of money, or at least he's going to be more available than some other guys.
Insane to even mention Kyrie in this conversation with Miles Bridges, but at the same time, it was not a popular opinion to bring Kyrie Irving along board.
2 different reasons.
2 different,
Very
drastically
Totally.
reasons. But
Absolutely not close.
Cuban showed faith in Kyrie, paid dividends
Cuban
tremendously.
doesn't have control anymore,
no,
though, right?
not anymore. I
What's
don't
up?
believe.
He actually is in control of basketball
operations. Correct. He's
Even
not
though
the owner.
I thought this was last year. But I could be completely wrong. I thought I saw that online. I could be completely wrong.
He still has a big influence in it, but he did sell a stake in the team. A pretty good stake in it.
Next name.
The next name is Denny Advia, who is going to be, he's going to need 3 first-round picks to get him on.
Mark Cuban no longer has control of basketball operations.
Sounds right. Denny Advia would be the perfect type of player.
Advia.
Advia. Thank you.
Denny Advia is awesome.
You're right. It says he's just very much involved with the franchise still.
Okay, so I mean, he just doesn't have the title, but he probably pulls strings.
Yeah. With the Miles Bridges pick, this is essentially the Dallas Hornets now. I mean, you bring PJ and Miles Bridges.
I think Denny would be a great fit, but why am I giving him up on Washington? Like,
No,
this is
the
one of
Dwarves.
my couple like good players.
That's their best player, easily.
Easily.
Yeah.
He's an awesome player.
I
But
think
if you're
he's
Dallas,
somebody
Advia
that
would fit.
you have to be a bit careful with. I think Denny Advia is an exceptional player in his role. I think he would be a great role player for Dallas. And you love Denny Advia, so you're making that face. The shooting is not consistent. He just had his best year shooting.
You take a leap with shooting. You did this shit with Herb Jones last show.
It's also
Don't do it again with
three
Denny.
for Denny.
It was this past year. It might have been year 3 or 4.
God forbid you take a leap in your game.
I mean, 37% was a big jump.
Okay,
but
so-
you saw the form. The form has always looked fine.
In
And
his
it's more of a
rookie year,
consistency thing.
31%, second year 31%, third year 30%, and then this past year
This is fourth year.
37%.
How many minutes was he playing his first year? First couple.
23.
23, 24, 26, and then 30.
The shots
the-
never looked bad to me. It just needed a little bit more arc
On 3
it.
attempts a game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think is Denny ever gonna be a superstar.
And
Probably
Denny
not. But if you're
locked.
Washington, just like you just need a little something to work with here. You know,
You'd rather get Danny Alvey or Jeremy Grant?
That was the next name I was going
Danny.
to have. Yeah.
You think so?
Danny.
I think Jeremy
Jeremy
Grant's
Grant's
a better
going 30.
player.
I think Grant might be
Mm.
better to win now with.
Grant's
He's
a better
more
scorer.
expensive.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say
Grant's a
that
better
contract
scorer.
sucks.
Yeah,
It's going to be a negative
On
contract
defense,
for a
though,
year or
Denny
two.
is clamp
If
city.
you want the shooting,
So is Jeremy
Grant.
Grant.
If you want,
Denny's
no, not as
probably
much.
better.
If you want shooting, though, Grant has been a 40% shooter the last 2 years.
You just have to take it. That's a huge contract to take on.
Is
It
it
is.
180?
It's
It's
gonna
30
be-
mil a year.
Go for it.
It's going to be a negative
I
value
think-
contract soon.
Oh, it's what did you say?
Um,
130?
It's 30 mil a year.
Oh, I was gonna say I thought it was 180.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was more.
It's 5 years, 160 million.
160.
on his sign.
It's about 30.
Yeah.
The next name, which would kind of make sense because he's going to be available to me, Andrew Wiggins, trying to get him a kind of resurgence.
I like the Andrew Wiggins move.
You've
Because
mentioned that,
there's
haven't
something there that you could work with where he showed two-way ability. I mean, it feels like forever ago, but it was just 2 years ago where he was in that finals playing the best basketball of his career. If you're able to bring that back, he doesn't have much of an offensive role at all, and he could just hit some threes and you get defense. Like that's kind of the upgrade that you could potentially get.
It's not terrible. I just seen him be so bad for.
Yeah, you just don't know mentally. He's
Yeah.
had a lot of things going on.
Yeah, but the
personally,
shot's
too.
gone. Like it's gone.
I mean, he shot 36% from three this year and 40%.
Also, what do you get?
last
What are you
year.
giving up for Wiggins? 'Cause he needs to
37.
make
40,
sense
but
to the Warriors.
40%. That was when.
37 games with a lot of stuff off the court.
Before
I mean,
that,
I
a
think-
lot of it was before when he was knocked down. He came back, was not the same jump shooter.
That's a very, you're probably talking about a 15 game sample
Mhm.
size. With these pros, I think a lot of it's mental. And with Wiggins, I think the ability is
Had
always
a whole
been there.
season.
It was not a good year at all, but he still shot 36% from deep.
We got more super chats.
This is a hot take. We do have more super chats. This is a hot take, but I don't think any of those names move the needle. I wouldn't take the risk on Andrew Wiggins. To me, is horrible. I wouldn't take the risk on him.
You're
If
out on
that's
Wiggins.
if that's
You
your
think
move,
Miles
I'm out on
Bridges-
him.
I mean, just
Would
a
be a-
horrible. I just
But like
don't-
a fit perspective, Miles Bridges
think
would be
there's
a
still
horrible
something there.
fit. I think that's possible.
There could be still some there, but Andrew Wiggins at his
Could you
price
just
point,
add to defense? And I see your thought process there, but offensively,
such a liability.
yeah, it's really tough.
Yeah. With Miles Bridges, I mean, at this point, I don't even know what his market is. If you're telling me you can get Miles Bridges
For the
for a
low,
mid-level.
bargain,
Let's say the
yeah,
mid-level
I think it
exception,
makes
maybe.
sense
For
if
the
you're
low,
going to
yeah.
commit to him 25 mil a year. No, I don't think that's the move. I agree with the continuity. One thing's for sure is that they just need wings because Luka and Kyrie, you know what they're going to bring you, and they have the center position filled out. Maybe Max gets more minutes, and next year maybe he can develop into something.
Mhm.
But that's the reason they drafted him because they know they need wings
Mhm.
and they need somebody to take a leap.
The last name that I like a lot, this is someone who could be moved this all season. Bogdanovich on the Hawks. Sneaky 6-man of the year candidate. What he brings to the shooter would elevate that offense so much. Be perfect. for Luka.
honestly,
I like that.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, I
That is
like
good.
that.
Gotta see what direction the Hawks going though.
Jesse Fuentes goes, happy for your Dehls Tokyo shit. Shout out to Tatum. Where do y'all put Tatum and Brown in the top 20 NBA now? Much love.
Shout out to
Tatum's
you.
always been a top 7 player to me. I think he moves up a little bit at this.
I think top 7's fine. I think JB is in that top 15, top 17 conversation.
Hmm.
Top 15 is definitely on the strong end. I'm
Alright.
very confident in a top 20 stance, though.
If he's top 20, these are some of the names you'd have about Jaylen Brown. I don't know if you guys want to do that right now.
Do it.
We can do it. All right. Is Jaylen Brown a top 20 player in the NBA? Is he better than Anthony Edwards to start off?
No.
Nope.
Devin Booker.
No.
No.
LeBron James.
Well, Devin Booker,
No.
probably not, but the showing Jalen just had defensively, I haven't seen anyone do that to Luka.
D-Book was better when he went to the finals.
Offensively, sure. Defensively, no. Defensively, what Jaylen Brown just did was special, but offensively, I do think Booker's ceiling is a lot higher.
Make sure you throw Scottie Pippen in there, bro.
Okay. And this is not including top 7 players like Jokic, Giannis,
Yeah.
Embiid, Luka, so on and so forth. Next name up will be LeBron James.
LeBron.
It's LeBron.
It's LeBron.
Yeah. That's what I thought. Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan.
Donovan.
Similar to the Devin Booker thing, but I would still take Donovan.
Trae Young.
We had this conversation, Joel.
It's tough. His number
The
2. I'd
answer
rather
is
have Jaylen.
Trae Young,
but-
right? Let me not slight Trae Young. Trae Young has been given not much and has played very high level basketball, has given you top 5, top 7 offenses. I would go with Trae Young. If I'm starting a team, you go with Trae.
You
So I
think
would
Trey's
respect
the better
Trae.
player?
It's tough because personally, I don't think Trae Young is good enough to be a number one in a championship team. That means he needs to be my number two. If I would want a number two, I would rather have Jaylen Brown as my number two in that situation.
I think that's reasonable.
What if it's with Victor Wembanyama?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
If
that's
you're
a
the
rare
Spurs,
case.
Would you
though.
rather have Trae Young or Jaylen Brown?
But
That's a
I
rare
get that.
thing.
That makes sense because you have a need at guard, but also your potential to be one of the best defenses in the NBA takes a pretty big hit adding Trae Young, even though you have help on the back.
I think more teams would rather have Jaylen Brown as the number two. But for a team like San Antonio that has a center, you'd rather the point guard.
It's
who
just
would be
more teams
still
have great point guards or
Yeah,
great
that's true.
guard
a
play.
lot
in
more
general.
depth at the point guard position.
With the wing position is really at a
Mhm.
premium.
I value my opinions too much to take him over Trae Young. I think that's a huge slight to Trae Young, but two-way ability matters a lot to me. And Jaylen Brown is a fringe elite scorer. He is an elite defender.
He's one of the most complete three-level scorers in the game.
So it's really tough. Truthfully, this is probably the closest one we've had so far, but I would give the edge to Trae.
Speaking about two-way play, you taking Jaylen Brown over Kawhi Leonard in 2024.
This is one that you can listen. Kawhi in a vacuum
Durability
is a better player, but durability
It's a factor.
matters.
Yeah.
It matters.
Can't deny it.
If you're telling me Kawhi is going to be healthy, sure, I'll take Kawhi, but we don't know if Kawhi is ever going to be healthy. If you're saying going into next season, going into 2024,
forward.
the Celtics should have Jaylen Brown or Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard. Give me Jaylen Brown.
Give me Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, I'm glad that we all agree that.
Kevin Durant,
Katie.
Kevin Durant.
Gotta respect the sniper.
John Morant.
This is another one. You gotta respect.
I'd go with
Ja.
Jaylen Brown.
Now he's trying to respect JB.
Oh man.
Now he's trying to respect JB.
So you have Trae Young over Ja. Obviously, I think that's fine. They're both close. I feel like it's the same argument for Trae Young.
God
with
damn
that
it.
is for Ja Morant. I don't know. Ja's super young, so maybe that's what I'm thinking. And it's just hard for me to see Ja being able to be a number one with some of the efficiencies he has as a shooter and as a defender. So if you're telling me who would I rather have as a number two, rather have Jaylen Brown.
What about the being better player? That's why I'm here wearing a Jaylen Brown jersey, and you guys are making me
The
go.
jersey's
against
pretty
him.
fire.
Excuse me.
There's a lot of really good names after the guys I've just mentioned.
Go ahead.
Like, there's a
you
lot.
haven't gone to the
Like
Victor
Jaylen
Wembanyama.
Brown is fringe like one of the best defenders in the NBA. He just proved.
Victor.
He
Not
just
yet.
proved this that.
Victor
Yeah.
He
Knight.
just proved that like he is.
No, he said Victor. I said
Oh,
not yet.
Next name, Victor
Yeah,
Wembanyama.
not yet. I'm going JB.
Yeah, I mean Vic is so crazy.
Not yet.
That like I wouldn't call you crazy.
Vic's on the way.
Like
Shit,
moving,
I'm not
Vic's
yet.
on the
I'm
way.
going with
moving
it now.
forward, I would take.
Vic's on the way.
I'm going with Victor Wembanyama.
Is Vic about to be a top 10 player next season?
He could be.
Could be.
Fuck.
Yeah.
All right,
like,
fuck.
I didn't mention these few guys because they're already in my top 10. Jalen Brunson, Anthony Davis, and Anthony Edwards.
I would say
Mhm.
those three.
I think you guys would all take those three guys over Jaylen Brown too.
Mhm.
The next name would be Zion Williamson.
I love Zion, but JB is unbelievable. I don't know,
I'm
man.
thinking Jaylen Brown.
I mean, Zion just got to stay healthy. I'm going with Jaylen Brown too. I don't think there's that huge of a gap between them
I'm
as
wearing
players to where the durability doesn't matter.
Okay.
I think it matters,
That's
and
valid.
that's how I'm going with Jaylen
That's
Brown.
valid.
I legit think Jaylen Brown leveled up this season. This
Mhm.
isn't me just
I agree.
overreacting to a great finals. Like he made considerable improvements in multiple areas as a playmaker, as a ball handler, as a defender. I mean,
Most importantly.
he has taken real leaps. This isn't just because he had a good final. Because realistically, offensively, he wasn't great this finals from efficiency standpoint.
Yeah, he didn't win Finals MVP for no reason.
I mean, defense, he was just locked in.
We got to talk about that. I'm excited too.
Drew,
After,
you haven't answered last like two, bro.
I would go with Ja over Jaylen Brown. Let me see Zion healthy and I'll take him, but for now I'll go JB.
I would say Zion's a better player, but
He
for
is.
more teams, I'd rather Jaylen Brown's my number two.
If Zion's healthy, I'm going with Zion.
So we got the D3 podcast. They commented here.
Shout out to the goats. I
And
saw
shout out to them.
said Tatum was robbed.
Yeah,
right?
Tatum was robbed.
Robbed
Of
of what?
Finals MVP.
Do we have
Yeah.
any more names, John?
Oh,
before
yeah, we do
move
have
on?
a few more. I'm absolutely stunned this guy's name is not mentioned in this podcast. I thought it'd be one of the first things that you would say, Dehls. Paul George.
Jaylen Brown.
That's not even a conversation.
I would rather have Jaylen Brown too.
That's
That's
not even close.
John,
That's the point.
that Paul George thing, shit. I mean, that might even be one of your worst 5 takes.
no,
Damn.
I actually think that was the most fair one that I had. Most
I don't know.
reasonable one. that
Tatum
I
has
had.
a ring.
He's right.
You shut your ass up, boy.
Paul
You
George
put-
got a ring. He
you
was able
put-
to do that.
You put 2013 Paul George in the Celtic team. I think they still won the championship.
Because a lot of people were comparing Luka to LeBron James, and one was able to get past LeBron James.
I didn't do that shit.
You didn't change your profile picture?
No, I thought that shit was a little bit corny. I'll be honest. They did that last year with
Oh,
Anthony
sorry.
Edwards down. Look,
Stop
they
it.
did
It was
that last
corny.
year with Anthony Edwards when they're down 3-1 to the Nuggets, and then they lost by I think a couple of
I
points.
really thought
but
he was
it's like-
LeBron.
I was
Come
like, I'm not doing that,
That shit
shit
was-
after last year.
You
I thought it was
LeBron?
funny. I thought it was cool a little bit.
He has
Luka's
made
the
LeBron
closest thing to
comparisons.
LeBron since he came into the league.
Oh my God, the brother doesn't play defense. We can't
Offensively.
say he's LeBron and don't play defense. You can't.
You ever seen LeBron gain a turnover? That's one of the best defenders I've ever
I
seen.
mean, you look at Luka's resume to start his career. It's LeBron like, bro. It is.
Yeah, watch the game.
You didn't
man.
say Jimmy
There's-
Butler.
I completely skipped over Jimmy
Thanks.
Butler.
I think I'm going with JB for reliability. Also,
What's JP?
There's two of them.
Jaylen Brown.
LeBron's defense is better, but I think at this early stage of their careers, 25, 25 years old or younger, Luka is a better offensive player than
I
him.
agree.
Okay, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter to
He,
me.
he had way more. He has way
Yeah.
more in his bag.
Really doesn't. Like Luka's one of the best offensive players ever.
It's just it's because LeBron's shooting really didn't catch up.
Yeah.
Let's
LeBron
say
was just relying
Miami,
a ton on
really.
athleticism, and once he lost in
Oh,
Miami
that
after that
midi was
first year,
still
he's
good,
like,
too.
let's get in the lab.
The midi was all right.
It was solid, but Luka's offensive game is definitely more refined.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean for sure.
Jesse Fuentes goes, sorry, we did this already.
See,
Clutch City 71 goes, Dehls, you taking it easy on them. I need that Tupac hit him up energy you had after game 3.
I'm gonna be
That's
honest.
amazing.
You did your thing.
thank you, bro.
I suck toes goes, Luka certified Harden 2.0. Stand on that 100 emoji.
Shout out to my brother Toes.
Luka gets
Him and
better
I
in
have
the-
been talking about that for a while now, but
It's bullshit.
he's adamant about Harden and Luka being the same guy. It's okay, John, to say that he is a glorified James Harden, which means he's better, similar style of play. Is that a knock on an all-time great?
Well, Luka gets better in the postseason, and James Harden gets
Agreed.
worse in the postseason. And James Harden in elimination games is putrid.
That was
Luka
Luka
Doncic,
last night elimination
with
game.
exception to his most recent elimination
In the
game, has
finals? That
been
seems
one
important.
of the best. I mean, we're looking at a sample size of
Sorry,
how
my
many
bad.
elimination games. That one game to me doesn't change my total
Wow,
No,
outcome.
it's
Luka
almost like
is
we had a
awesome
sample
at
size for
basketball.
Jaylen Brown, but you only looked at the Miami series and say you should trade him for Scoot Henderson.
Yo, as a shooter, Luka Doncic was her. Oh my God. I apologize for interrupting that moment.
You did not do that, John? We had a sample size of Jaylen Brown being pretty
And
damn
Scoot
good.
Henderson is dog shit.
He's back here too. Stop. Don't get
You're-
caught.
He was
Don't get
dog
caught.
shit.
Don't
Hey.
get caught.
Well, okay, we
Hey,
can
hold
say
up.
this.
Let me
Scoot
speak.
Henderson in his rookie year was dog shit.
Yeah, agree.
Yes.
Y'all can have your fun with that one for now. But I'm telling you right now, Scoot Henderson's going to be a really good player.
I mean,
and
when,
more
when
importantly,
Jaylen Brown's 34 and he's like 26, probably.
more importantly, the worst part of that shirt is that I made a 3-team deal that
Oh yeah,
that-
Siakam got
that
to.
gave the Portland Trailblazers Pascal Siakam and Jaylen Brown for just Anthony Simons in the draft pick. That was dog shit, that trade, I will acknowledge.
Depending
but,
on whose GM you were, you either cooked or you got cooked.
yeah, I was kind of operating as like the Portland Trailblazers GM in that. But if you were to have included like a Pascal Siakam, a Scoot Henderson / pick 3, I think that would have
imagine
been
that
pretty good.
Scoot Worth, JB, and Siakam.
Imagine how
That
we
would've
look
been
at
fire.
the Celtics, bro.
But it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
We wouldn't.
It never happened.
Man, I mean, that's bad. The Brandon Miller stuff was bad. Except on my boy. You could say Mini JB. B. Miller. They don't play the same,
Not
but
really,
they
no.
both wings, jumbo size wings.
Yeah.
They could do it all. He's coming.
To be fair, JB put on a lot of weight throughout his career, and he it's not like he came out of college as this like super muscular.
Nah, that brother
but
thick.
he's
I mean,
put on a
Brandon
lot of
Miller
weight.
was celebrating with the Celtics. He came into the locker room.
That shit was
Wait,
funny.
did he actually?
Yeah.
Grant Williams was
That's
there. Brandon Miller. I forgot who else. It might have been Mark Williams.
Yeah. Taco
Yeah.
Fall was there.
That was weird.
What's the relation between Brandon Miller and the Celtics?
Well, just Grant Will probably was just like, yo, Hornets, we out. Let's go watch what it is to go be in the finals.
yeah, I'm thinking probably for him.
Damn, such an upgrade over him, though.
Shout out to Grant. Shout out to
Drafted.
Marcus Smart. Shout out to Rob Will. Shout out to IT. All the guys along the way, man.
Michael Drew goes, Jaylen Brown would never get the blame if the Celtics lost. It would be Tatum. Talk shows need to stop the Jaylen Brown better than Tatum talk.
I agree.
Congrats, Dehls.
Thank you, brother. I feel like Jaylen Brown got a lot of slack, deservedly so, for the Miami series. So I won't completely say that that's true, but that's why I think the Jaylen Brown Tatum discourse is still a little lost, because people can say Jaylen Brown is better than Jason Tatum, but I feel like a lot of people's actions don't back it up. Like, people say Jaylen Brown is better than Jason Tatum, But if
There's no
Jaylen
reason.
Brown has an off game, we kind of just sweep it to the side. If Jason Tatum has an off game, it gets glorified. But like I said, I think Jaylen Brown took a real leap this season that it was a clearing before. Right now, to me, we have two 1A guys that I think complement each other beautifully.
Jaylen Brown a 1A.
So
1A.
right
Stamp
now,
it.
so
He needs
right,
another 1A with him if he wants to win a championship, which he has.
we got a comment here from Angel Martinez. Charles Lee is the next head coach of the Hornets. That's
Yeah.
why they were in the Celtics locker room.
Makes sense.
Oh, okay, facts. Shout out to Charles
Thank
Lee.
you for mentioning that.
He used to be a point guard for the Warriors.
Hope we
Backup.
keep Sam Cassell, man.
I will say on that.
Laker.
Are we talking about that Brown Tatum point at a later point in the show?
Who's better?
We're talking about the Finals MVP, right?
We could talk about it now. Who do you think was the Finals MVP, John?
My Finals MVP was Jason Tatum. I will preface, I think Jaylen Brown is deserving. But one thing that's always kind of bothered me about Finals MVP discourse, Drew, is that oftentimes we tend to look at what player is just the most efficient scorer, what player had the best production, but we overlook who was the most important player to their team. Jaylen Brown in the series was much more efficient than Jason Tatum. Shot close to 50% from the field. Tatum shot 38%. But a huge byproduct of that is role. Jason Tatum is the center of the offense. And if him and Jaylen Brown were to switch roles, their offense will look a lot different. I look at Jason Tatum as a passer, decision maker, and driver.
JB was a fine playmaker this series.
Is he as good as Jason Tatum
No,
or
I would
anywhere
never say
near
that. I would
Jason
never say
Tatum
that.
as an
I
initiator?
would never say that.
So he can't run the offense at
His
the level
finals,
Jason Tatum
he was
can.
pretty damn great.
He was great as a playmaker.
But as a playmaker specifically, that is what allowed the Celtics offense to be as good as it was, in spite of only shooting 33% from three. Now, defensively, Jaylen Brown did as good of a job as you can possibly do on Luka Doncic. But I believe Jason Tatum should have been Finals MVP because he's the best player in the Celtics. He is the most important player in their team. And even though Jaylen Brown was amazing defensively, Jason Tatum was elite defensively too. He was the team's best rebounder. This postseason, he led the team in points, rebounds, and assists. Yet he didn't win MVP for the conference finals or the NBA finals. I have a problem with giving your second best player the MVP for both of the two. I thought it should have probably been split. But I will acknowledge one last thing. Jaylen Brown is how they went up 3-0. Without him, I think that series would be 2-1 or maybe even 1-2 if it weren't for how well he played the first three games. I think that's his real case for winning Finals MVP.
The Finals MVP was decided after Game 3, where after Game 1, in the second half, JB shuts down Dallas's run of trying to come back and win that game. When Dallas cuts it to 8, Luka Doncic is going off in the third quarter, and he's just ping-ponging each side of the court of making amazing play, whether it's getting downhill, finishing, going and making mid-range jumpers, making threes, and on the other side, blocking shots. I believe he had three blocks, 3 steals that game. Finished with game high 21 points, if I'm not mistaken. And then you go and you look at Game 3, where in the first half, he didn't have that great of a game. I believe he only had 6 points in the first half. Didn't have that great of a game in the first half. But in the second half, Jason Tatum was deferring to Jaylen Brown. Finishes with 12 and 22. They both finished with over 30 points, but Tatum's was an inefficient 30, while JB obviously cleaned up and was the closer of that game, while being the best defender on his team, alongside, of course, Drew Holiday, who I think deserves conversation, to be acknowledged in this conversation. But no knock to Jason Tatum, because obviously everything you said for a majority, I should say, is pretty accurate. The best playmaker, an amazing defender that I feel like
He's the lead engine of the offense, is what I mean.
Even still does not get the acknowledgement that he deserves on the defensive side. He's an amazing defender. His rebounding definitely doesn't get spoken about because all people care about is efficiency, me included, because you're supposed to be one of the best scorers in this game, period. And again, it's not a knock on him to say that he's not Kobe Bryant, he's not Michael Jordan. It's okay to say that he's a Scottie Pippen right now. That's what he was in this finals. He was a Scottie Pippen. And that's not good enough to win Finals MVP. Jaylen Brown was elite on defense, and in the biggest moments on offense, it was not Jason Tatum, it was Jaylen Brown. That's why he was the Finals MVP.
He had the signature moment closing Game 3. I also made a mistake saying that Brown almost shot 50%.
It was 42.
It dipped to 44%.
40. Oh,
after.
okay.
I thought at the end of the
I thought it was
series,
like
him and Tatum were
47,
neck
48.
and neck.
It was 44.
No, I know he wasn't as efficient, and from three-point range, I think it was like 25 also.
Yeah, 23.
To be honest, this conversation with the Finals MVP, I understand why people debate it, but as corny as it is to say, if there's one team that I feel like the Finals MVP just goes to the entire team, it's really this one. Because I thought it was a well-rounded effort by everybody. if you look at the box stats, it looked ugly offensively. But I think what the Celtics emphasized in this series was playing defense. And I think they really locked in defensively. And that's why maybe their legs weren't as under them on the offensive side of the ball. I thought Jason Tatum should have been Finals MVP because I thought he had a better finish to the series. Jaylen Brown had a better start, but I don't think it's egregious. I don't think this is 2015 Steph not getting Finals MVP and Iguodala getting it over him. Yeah. I think there's a case to be made for Tatum. There's a case to be made for Jaylen Brown. Even if you want to throw Jrue Holiday in there. I mean, each game, a different Celtic came up big. Game 1, it was KP. Game 2, you could say it was Jrue or Jaylen Brown. Game 3, it was Jaylen Brown. Game 4, nobody came to play. And then this past game, it was Jason Tatum. In the most important game, you can argue.
Jrue Holiday also.
I thought Tatum was just the best player on the court.
It was Tatum, but Jrue in that first quarter was why they were able to get off to such a hot start. If I'm not mistaken, the two of them started 1 for 9.
Yeah.
JB and Jason Tatum. Jrue was the one that brought the energy.
But I'm pretty confident Tatum had 2 of the 3 assists on Holiday's bucket.
Yeah, 9 assists in the first half.
For me,
no turnovers.
It's all about the advantages Tatum's creating by drawing 2 to then allow that initial advantage to be created for Derek White to attack, close out, draw on a foul, and Kyrie in a jump shot. Jaylen Brown getting downhill. Without that initial advantage, none of those guys are going to score as effectively.
I just think Jaylen Brown had the highest high of the series and kind of was like the more consistent one. And that's why he won it.
Agreed.
But I do think that the media has penalized Tatum because if he was held to the same expectation as Jaylen Brown, he's winning Finals MVP. If Jaylen Brown was held to a higher expectation, the same expectation Tatum is held to, you would be like, oh, the second guy on the team leads them in points, rebounds, and assists. He's Finals MVP. But since Jaylen Brown doesn't have those expectations, I thought it let him get away with, under the radar performances that he wasn't.
I don't know. There was definitely moments where I just looked and thought Jason Tatum was obviously stat padding.
Oh yes, obviously.
JB took a couple of shots in the fourth quarter too. Once it was, and 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, they're up 20. They're not really running plays. They're out there just kind of all ISOing.
Tatum was shamelessly stat padding.
I mean, it felt like,
but he was just taking like step back threes. Like he wasn't
up 16.
To me, he wasn't trying to get down the rim, roll an ankle or something. That was just, I feel like they were just trying to get rid of the game. The best part about this conversation is Celtics have both of them. And in my humble opinion, I don't even think, especially offensively, either of them played up to their expectation or up to their standard. If you look at this whole series, there's a reason why the Celtics had the lowest point total over these 5 games did all season. Both of these guys, at least from three-point land, did not shoot well at all. We're talking about 31% for Jaylen Brown, maybe the lower, and Jason Tatum right around the same. They did not play well, in my opinion. They didn't jump. Let's do this one more time. Didn't have a good jump shooting series. At least Jason Tatum standard. Jason Tim had a stat out there that he shot 29% on his jump shots. It was the same as Giannis in the regular season. Like Tatum's jump shot has completely disappeared. And I understand the cool thing to do is to hate on Jason Tatum, call him corny, think he's not good, Jaylen Brown's better, whatever your argument is. But I also think that there is really a need to come back to the mean with this Jason Tatum jump shot where he is not shooting 29% for a final stretch. Is he going to shoot as well as he did to end the 2024 calendar year in the regular season? Probably not, because he was the best in the NBA, at least from 3-point percentage. But there's somewhere in between where Tatum's going to get back to just a normal Jason Tatum. And then that's when he could average 30, 10, and 8, get his Finals MVP.
Can I say this before you go, Joel? Oh, you already spoke. What am I saying? Jaylen Brown for the first 3 games was efficient as hell.
He was.
Efficient as hell. Every game over 50%. Yeah. But to me, I get it. 3-point part is the 3-point shot is obviously your identity. The first game was 6. Game 4 was 5. Sorry, because that was the last game that I was looking at. I wanted to see, because that's the game that obviously tanked his efficiency. He was 2 for 9 in game 3, which was really the game that he was really poor shooting the basketball. And then game 2, if I'm not mistaken, was 1 for 5. But 8 for 15 game 2, 7 for 12 game 1, 12 for 22 in game 3 from the field. He was super efficient, just the 3 ball wasn't falling. And that's your identity. You guys are a high volume 3-point shooting team.
And that's what feels like is more likely to, because when Jaylen Brown's getting to the rim, I feel like he's going to be pretty consistent as a rim finisher.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
3-point shot, that's a little bit that has more variety. And I know
I
you're going to
agree.
have games where you shoot 25%. You have a game where you could shoot 50%. You usually don't see that much of a variance at the rim.
But after game 3, it was signed and sealed. I thought we all felt the exact same way. This was Jaylen Brown's award. It was game 4 that kind of slightly opened the window. And then game 5 where I admit it, Jason Tatum was fucking awesome. He definitely was great. But to finish, right, it would only say Jason Tatum was the best in the closeout game to win them the finals. But in the first 3 wins of the Boston Celtics, undeniably, it was Jaylen Brown.
Like if you tally it up, 3-2 Jaylen
Yeah,
Brown.
exactly.
You could go that route. Because
And
game 4,
defensively-
Tatum, I thought he was on his way to having a really good game, and then they just got smoked out.
Yeah.
Defensively, too, Tatum playing the 5 really mucked things up for Dallas, trying to get in the pick and roll action with Lively or with Daniel Gafford. And what Jason Tatum did cannot be overlooked because that kind of shut down a lot of what Dallas wanted to do. But that just goes to show how great Jaylen Brown was on Luka. You read off the numbers, Drew. It's not hyperbole. It's not exaggeration. This was the best defense, in my opinion, we have ever seen a single player play on Luka Doncic in a 7-game series. He was constantly uncomfortable. He was picking him up in the backcourt. When Luka didn't have the ball, he was constantly on his body and guarding him off ball, so it wasn't easy for him to get the ball, and he would have to really work and expend energy. He was fighting over screens, doing all of that for 5 games, damn near every single time he was on the court. Outside of if he's in some foul trouble, now we'll put Drew Holiday on him or switch that up. I mean, I think that's the one separator between the two, because even though Tatum's responsibility is different and arguably just as important, the one-on-one, that's something that you can't hide. That's just something that you have to go out there and try to consistently beat your man, and Luka wasn't able to.
I mean, not having Luka go off for 40, that's an accomplishment because that's the Mavericks' pathway to winning the series.
Yeah, I mean, every game Luka
And
was
he was
having
also-
30
he was also
points,
in a
but
bit.
it was 25, 26 shots.
It
Like,
was
we're
very
we can live with
similar
that.
to Andrew Wiggins guarding him in the 2022 finals, where Luke is going to produce, but it's a matter of limiting his efficiency.
Yeah.
And that's basically what Jaylen Brown's able to do. I guess one last point for this. It is interesting because Brown finished the series with 5 assists. I think a lot of the voters looked at that and said with how much more efficient he was, and of course, him helping them get games 2 and 3, that is what ultimately decided.
And throwing game 1 there.
Game 1 as
Throwing
well.
game 1.
Of course, he was the better player. But I think at the end of the day, if you're a number 2, you have to be a lot better than the number 1 to get finals MVP over him. That's just my perspective. That's the way I look at it. And Brown was the better player of the 2, more efficient, the more consistent scorer. But Tatum, to me, was their MVP. Simple as that.
Shout out to Joe Mazzulla, man.
I don't
Making
want to
this all
say
work.
Tatum played similarly to how he played against the Warriors because obviously that'd be wrong.
The box score looks similar, but
But
The
efficient-
different
excuse me,
player,
But
yeah.
turnover to assist ratio is
Correct.
completely
As a
different.
playmaker, drastically different.
Tatum was a lot more timely.
But the
In the floater
Celtics are just
offense.
so much better now than they were in 22 also. That's really what it stems
A lot
from.
more composed. They needed that the same way.
I mean,
Same
you look
about
at
the Mavericks
Jaylen
right
Brown's
now.
finals MVP stats: 21, 5 and 5, 44% from the field, 23% from
It
3.
was 23. God.
Yeah.
And Tatum was 23, 8 and 7, 39% from the field, and 26%.
If you
from
read
three.
the stats after game 3, we're talking about a real legitimate finals MVP.
I would have given him it after
Yeah.
game 3.
After game 3, what was he averaging? Like 22, right?
It was, well, he had
Efficiency, though. I think he was at
21,
like 33%, maybe.
I mean, the Celtics' offensive rating as a whole was 112 in the finals.
Yeah, which is
Dallas-
bad for them.
Dallas did a good job guarding them. The Celtics missed some shots too. I felt like overall, this was really just a series that Boston exerted most of their energy and efforts onto the defensive side of the ball and just stopping what Dallas is doing offensively.
Game 5 was really the only game where Boston was lights out from shooting. I don't know what they finished at, but I think they were like 12 of 26 at one point.
Felt like 50%
Going into
at
halftime,
least.
maybe the third quarter.
Game 1,
He
I'd
ended that
also
first
argue.
quarter.
Yeah,
A lot of
first quarter, excuse me,
turnovers.
first game is similar, but second half they fell off shooting wise. I think they still finished around like 35% maybe. But I think they were around 40% in game 5.
I know every time a team wins a championship, we have the conversation about them becoming a dynasty potentially. It happened with the Denver Nuggets, even happened with the Bucks when they won their championship. The Warriors were on the back end, so we kind of knew that was going to be like the last hurrah. But you got the Celtics, who they just dominated the playoff landscape. And I think if you're a Celtics fan, you got a lot of things that you can look forward to. You just check off the box. Porzingis, if he's healthy, we're going to be even better. Jason Tatum, is not going to shoot 29% on his jump shots in the playoffs.
God willing.
Hopefully, again, he'll be a better player. And I think there is something to be said for a team that has now lifted a huge expectation and weight off their shoulders. And this is potentially a version of the Celtics we're going to be able to see that has been the most free they've ever been. And I think that is dangerous for the rest of the league. They won't have any serious financial decisions until 25, 26. But I look at the NBA landscape right now, and I really don't see a legitimate challenger to this team. Like as of right
not
now,
even Denver.
in the East. I want to preface this by saying in the East.
Disrespectfully,
You're not going to respect our Knicks?
I think the Knicks got to make a move. I think we'll give them a challenge. I think we can give them, caution.
Should we draw up the perfect offseason for the Knicks to compete with the Boston Celtics?
It starts
think we
with
should.
extending OG Anunoby because there's some reports that he's
Yes.
not happy with the offers
I
they're
did
giving
see that,
him.
and that's
You can't
definitely a
lose.
punch to the stomach. We
Like,
need
it starts
OG.
with
lose OG,
keeping
it's a
OG
problem.
and Isaiah Hartenstein.
I agree.
It starts with both.
Here's the perfect offseason for the New York Knicks. OG resigns. Isaiah Hartenstein resigns. Julius Randle, your tenure in New York was fantastic. We appreciate everything you've done for the city of New York. 2-time All-NBA. You kind of started the wave of the New York Knicks, getting back to being relevant and great again. See ya. Bring me an upgrade. Who that player is,
Not your job.
something we could talk about. That is not my job, but we do need more scoring. And if Devin Booker's available, baby, make it happen.
I love that. That's the first. You have to look for a team that's blowing it up, and that would probably be the Suns, the first one.
Would you rather get
possible.
Devin Booker or Kevin
Kevin
Durant,
Durant.
if you're taking into account the assets you got to give up?
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant.
Really?
Kevin Durant. I can, if I don't have to trade 5 firsts, Kevin Durant. But the issue with that becomes now, what are the Suns doing to help Devin Booker?
Julius Randle,
I'm glad we're on the same page now, brother. Let's cook.
All NBA player,
Yeah.
two-time
Two time.
All-NBA player.
Don't forget it. Not
Yeah.
once. Did it twice.
And he's due for
They can
great
make-
playoff performances.
if you do it
If
one
you think
time,
that New
you
York
do it
Knicks
one
are the GM
time,
of
hey,
that.
it could be a fluke. You do it twice, now it's something serious.
He can think the New York.
The Knicks are
market.
up. If that's the offseason that they have,
If they get Kevin Durant, yeah, that would be a
Jaylen Brown,
Y'all know
excuse
he's
me,
not a real
Jalen
NBA
Brunson, DiVincenzo's probably gone because probably gonna have to include him to get Kevin Durant. That would be unfortunate. It definitely would hurt.
player. I wouldn't.
Are you running
be
Josh
out.
Hart at the 2? Don't know if I love that. OG, KD, Isaiah Hartenstein.
I'm out. I'm not doing.
Listen,
that.
I'm keeping
You're
Dante.
not trained Dante.
You could get Julius Randle. You could get Deuce McBride. We'll give you like 3 first-round picks for KD. I'll do that.
They say we need Dante. You could keep Deuce.
And
You're saying no?
it's 2.
I mean,
What if it's 2
It's
picks?
KD.
What if
It
it's
is
2
Kevin Durant.
picks?
KD.
Jalen, Julius Randle, down to DiVincenzo, but it's only 2 picks.
No.
For KD.
I'd rather
I'm not
keep
doing that.
Dante and
Boss.
the pick. No, I'd
No.
rather keep
Guys.
Dante and give away the extra
I
pick
don't know,
and
man.
attach Deuce.
What
Guys.
player are you going to
Oof.
get that gives you a better chance to win a championship? Just say next season than Kevin
I'm going to
Durant.
be honest, though. I understand
This is
wanting
crazy.
to
I don't think it
keep
exists.
Dante.
this
I
is
get it.
crazy.
But this is
Is it
the-
crazy? It's Kevin Durant.
Kevin
Please,
Durant's turning.
Kevin Durant.
Hold up.
It's
Kevin
not
Durant's
crazy.
turning 36.
How about your
in the
respect? He was
fall.
he's a top 10 player.
He just got swept 2 of the last 3 playoff
That
rounds.
has nothing
in
to
the
do with
first.
him. His
That's
team's
because of-
mid.
Okay, but if you're trading your depth, some key pieces like Dante DiVincenzo is just the second best shooter in the NBA this season with a handful of picks for a 36-year-old who's clearly on the decline.
He's gonna give you
And
29 a game.
maybe
If
is
it's
maybe going to
Randall,
give you 2
Dante,
years.
and a couple
Julius,
picks.
who they
I'm
were
the
about to
Knicks,
make an
if
ECF run
I'm the
without.
Knicks, I would rather hold on to these current players
It's
and
just-
wait for a better opportunity
Julius is
after.
expendable.
John, what
I don't care about
opportunity-
Julius from the Knicks. I
John,
don't.
I
But
need to
he
know
is
what
a trading
opportunities out
chip.
there.
And if I were the Knicks, I would rather wait 1 or 2 years because we always say I don't see
So if
somebody
it's Booker, yes, you do
until
it.
somebody does become
If it's
available.
Devin
that you don't
Booker, you
see.
do it in 2 seconds, correct?
We'd have to negotiate.
But also,
For
1
Devin
to 2
Booker,
years,
I would give 5
you
first
got
round
Jalen
picks,
Brunson's
Julius
super max
Randle, and
kicking in.
Yeah.
You have the
maybe
OG
Deuce
contract.
Okay,
that
he
kicks
said
into
that he's going to be
Hartenstein.
he's
Maybe
going to go
Deuce
into a
McBride.
favorable
Yeah,
contract.
if it happens, so be it. I'm under the impression. I don't know. I'm not giving up $100 million personally.
He wants to be the
deserves
king of New York.
it.
Legend.
You're just getting. I feel like financially, you get more restricted as time goes on.
This is the conversation we get into when we try to come up with the challenger in the East for the Celtics, though.
So right.
A move like Kevin Durant has to be the one that's made going to a team that's already great for
and match up well.
Boston to be
Without
challenged.
KD.
I look at a healthy Bucks team. I don't believe in the Bucks. I don't believe in the direction.
I don't either.
I think Giannis is still a top 3 player in the world at worst, but their direction and their depth is totally shot, and it's going to take a miracle to come back from. A revamped Sixers team, you can't trust Joel Embiid's health, and this was the best playoff series that he just had, and he was hurt. And who knows, maybe they build up a team that can compete, but it's very hard for anybody to create a team that is as talented as Boston is right now because they've made so many smart moves that have spanned across multiple seasons. I think OKC out west probably gives them the best challenge. I know that I can't sleep on Denver, but if KCP moves on, that's a huge hole at shooting guard. OKC has the chance to make the biggest splash of the offseason and come into next year with SGA, a year two Chet, third year Jalen Williams, who now understands what he has to work on within his game to be better, and a great supporting cast that can shoot well. If you add an all-star level player to this supporting cast, I think they are like one of the few teams that have a realistic chance.
And that's another team. If they either get one of the two, whether it's Isaiah Hartenstein or Nicholas Claxton, you really solidify that front court of theirs.
Do you want to move Chet? I think Chet the 4 is like that works, but now you also don't have your 5-out system.
I have been seeing that, but I feel like the 5-out definitely a huge deal. But understanding that they do need help rebounding the basketball. And that's not Chet's fault. Chet is a fine rebounder his own self, but they do need help in that regard. Isaiah Hartenstein would obviously do that. Obviously would add to their defensive prowess too. But if you have 4 guys that can space the floor, it's not a murderer that one guy can't.
It's just when you get into a playoff series, that's just where 7 games you get schemed up. Like it's a lot easier to take advantage of that than if you have 5 shooters out there.
It is.
Saw, Minnesota is a different beast because you have more than just one non-shooter out there because Jaden could be a little, iffy. Nikhil Alexander-Walker. I think what we're saying, though, is whatever team, Knicks, OKC, a big swing has to be made because as the current landscape,
Orlando,
as it's currently shaped right now, Boston's going into next season as a decently heavy favorite. I think they're like plus 250 to win the chip. Next highest is like plus 600 or 650. And that's Denver at West. Yeah. And that just goes to show how much faith that Vegas has in the Celtics coming out of the East again, because they're like, out West, we know there's a lot of teams that can do it, but we don't think any one team is dramatically better than the other. And in the East, it's the opposite, where Boston is in a tier of its own right now. Then you have Milwaukee, you have New York, what happens to Philly. But going into next season, you mentioned it, Joel, if Porzingis is able to stay healthy, if Jason Tatum shot magically finds its way back at this point, I think I have to pray for it. You have the same guys coming back. Everyone's under contract again. Al Horford said he's returning. Sam Hauser's on 1 more year. Derek White will likely get extended, if not a bare minimum, 1 more season with Derek White. This team is set up to go back-to-back. I know we say it every year after every champion, but this is a team that has 2 players in its absolute prime playing their best basketball, who there's a world they're even better next season, which is scary to think about. And if you add just a healthy Porzingis and Tatum's shot doesn't come back, you're still sitting great. Or if the opposite happens, where maybe Porzingis is still banged up, but now Tatum is playing like the Jason Tatum we've seen, this is a completely different team. And now all of a sudden you have a solidified top 4 player in the world. So if they could just get one of those things to come back to normal, I think they're in a really good spot for next season.
There is a reason the Celtics are favored going to next year, but there's also an important note to make. It's that no team has repeated since 2017 Warriors,
it's
2018
difficult.
Warriors. You look at 3-point variance, injuries, and then new matchups every single year. I disagree with your point, Joel, that there's not a team that can really keep up with the Celtics, because we saw the Pacers get swept by them, and that was a team that most people said was a fluky Eastern Conference Finals appearance. They played the Celtics really well.
I think that's
and you
what
look
not
at the
being in
East.
It was a
You
tough
look at the state of
matchup.
the East.
It's a tough matchup, but if we're being honest, I don't think they have a chance to beat Boston, respectfully.
I agree.
There's no move Indiana
look-
can make that can actually realistically they could beat Boston.
You look at the East, the first team, the Milwaukee Bucks, they weren't healthy enough to advance. If Giannis is healthy, if Damian Lillard is healthy as well, that is a contender.
They have a
You
lot
look
of
at-
holes.
Yeah, but
Their
that's
defense
also
still stinks.
it's also a team that can surely improve.
And
based off
Damian's
this
getting
last
old
year.
too.
What's up?
Damian's getting older too.
How
so
do
is
you
Brook
plan on
Lopez.
improving a team that doesn't have money, that doesn't have draft picks, that doesn't have a lot of tradable assets?
And their third best player is injury prone, even though when he's on the court, he's pretty damn good in Chris Middleton.
You know what the
I'll
Bucks
play like
is,
Kobe once in the series.
this is the problem with the East is that they're the only team that has the star power to compete.
I agree.
They got the
Sixers?
top heavy. No, the Bucks. They have the
Well, I'm
top
saying
heavy
the Sixers
talent.
too.
I think the Sixers.
If they sign Paul
There's
George,
an argument for it.
If they
Maxey
sign Paul George,
and
it's up,
Embiid?
but even still,
They need to fill out a whole roster.
yeah.
Even still, you're talking about a playoff choker and then Joel Embiid, who he's wishy-washy in the playoffs. That doesn't give you the most confidence. There's really no team in the East outside of the Knicks, if they make a move for a star, that can realistically beat Boston in the East.
And then I look at after the Knicks, teams like the Orlando Magic. I think the Magic are a sleeper to make a splash move this offseason. Maybe it's a lower marketing. I think that's another young team on the rise that can really compete with Boston.
That's where we want to get, bro.
I wouldn't take them to beat the Celtics, but again, 3-point variance and injuries happen every year.
I mean,
this year with the Nuggets, Jamal Murray struggles, Michael Porter Jr. shooting variance, Jamal's hurt, and then you lose Bruce Brown. Those small little things made all the difference in that team getting knocked out by a Minnesota team with way less experience.
They also blew a 20-point fourth quarter lead or
Don't
second
tell
half
me
lead,
about
whatever,
it.
in the fourth.
I wanted to
Game 7.
I just feel as if
They're a little
there's
too far away.
more things that got to go wrong for the Celtics as opposed to the other teams. Like with the Nuggets,
Right.
okay, you could beat them if Jamal Murray's kind of having an off series. With Boston, I mean, Jason Tatum can have an off series and they can still win. They can sweep a team.
Yeah.
And that's
Boston's scary.
Yeah, that's what
I
like,
agree.
So many things can go wrong for Boston and they can still end up winning a series. And I think that's the difference between them and other teams is the margin for error they have. You have to be perfect. You have to have the star power to compete, and you have to have the defenders to compete as well. And there just isn't teams out there that can do that. I think OKC, like if they get Lauri Markkanen, maybe we're talking.
I think OKC, if they get Lauri, that's different. You still have a ton of young players that I think they'd be underdogs going into that series, but it would still be a great fight. But I think Boston answered every single question coming into the season about them. What happens if they don't shoot the 3-point ball well? Well, we just saw they won in 5 games. What happens if Porzingis isn't healthy because he hasn't been healthy, unfortunately, for basically his whole career? He played in 4 or 5 games this entire postseason run, although that game 1 win, shout to you. You'll be remembered forever. What happens if Jason Tatum struggles to shoot the ball again, like he did in the 2022 season against the Warriors? Well, that just happened, and they still won the championship. You could say that it was a favorable matchup for Boston, which I agree with. Going into the series, that was my number one reason why I just thought player for player, Boston has more good players that match up well. But there's not a lot of teams out west that I look at a matchup perspective and say, we're screwed. Like, we need the best version from every single player to win the series. Denver is still probably that one because I don't think there's an answer for Nikola Jokic. I love Al Horford. He's probably our best bet. He's done to Giannis in the past. He's done to Joel Embiid in the past. Nikola Jokic is just a different animal. But outside of that, I don't really see a team in the West that can compete player for player against the Boston Celtics.
You fried up. I agree wholeheartedly. That being said, is Al Horford coming back next year?
Yeah, I wonder.
He told the owner he's
Yes.
back.
Legend.
Yep. He's got, I think he only has 1 year left in his contract.
Yeah, the fact that everyone's coming back next year, how can we not feel the exact same way?
Everybody.
You know, so you're going to have Jaylen Brown another year of getting better and refining whatever he feels like he needs to work on. Most likely that jump shot, and of course, naturally ball handling, which he shut a lot of people up this season. Jason Tatum, hopefully getting better at shooting the ball on a more consistent basis. But in my opinion, finding smart shots, not forcing difficult ones. I like to see as the series progressed, him being more aggressive and asserting himself in the paint. A lot of that showed in game 5 where he was getting downhill religiously. And then that's when a lot of the offense started to click on a consistent basis. If Kristaps Porzingis is going to be out for 3 to 4 months, get back around November, maybe early December, give him a little bit more rest where you don't necessarily need him right away. I feel like that could definitely benefit the Boston Celtics too. I think if I'm you guys, having Xavier Tillman also is a little bit of a luxury. You saw that he can come in and obviously fill a role and play at a pretty awesome level.
He was amazing.
I mean, you guys essentially have an answer for everything. Next season, definitely talking about you guys being able to repeat as champions. But a dynasty, I feel like people naturally go with 3. You need 3 to become a dynasty. I feel like we have to wait on that. That's definitely it's in the cards. But Derek White also holds a big part of that too, where you had the best defensive backcourt in basketball. If you also want to throw in JB there, but of course now he's transitioned more to a wing. That is definitely a huge piece in the or a huge cog in the machine too. But this Boston Celtics team is damn near perfect. And honestly, they're just going to continue to get better. And one of the main reasons why you should have never even had the idea of breaking them up is because they're not even in their prime yet. 27, 26 years old. If they're in their prime, they just entered it.
And their bench looks a lot better now than it did when they made that Drew Holiday trade in June. Between Payton Pritchard, the value that he gives you offensively, Sam Hauser shooting, Al Horford, and then X-Man, because they have X-Man's bird rights.
You're not even talking about the 6'7" two-way demon.
Jaden Springer?
O'Shea?
You're talking about Jordan Walsh.
Jordan Walsh.
Jordan Walsh.
who's going to be getting another year of continuity. So their bench is a pretty
He's going
fun
to be
one.
good.
I don't know why I thought you were talking about O'Shea Brissett. You never talk about
O'Shea
O'Shea
Brissett.
Brissett.
He was over there clapping back
He's a good
at
13th
people
man,
like
He gave some good minutes in that Pacers series,
He
man.
did.
O'Shea Brissett did his
O'Shea
thing.
Yo, y'all
Former
saw
team?
Luka talking shit to,
Yeah,
to
said your
the
mom's a
fan?
hoe.
Your mom's a hoe was crazy.
you know that O'Shea Brissett is Tyrese Halliburton's best friend.
Really?
Cool.
He
O'Shea
does.
Brissett,
He makes vlogs.
that facts.
Yeah,
And he went
I'm
to
buying
Tyrese's
watching
crib.
this for sure.
Tyrese's crib is really nice, bro.
I bet.
Like he of course,
$100 million.
yeah, that's outside of the money aspect. I'm talking about like the design of the crib, like his gaming room and shit. Like it's really nice.
You know you could get that in Indiana.
No, I didn't. No, he has an arcade in his gaming room that the arcade holds every like PlayStation, Xbox game ever made.
That's crazy.
Damn.
That's fire.
That's that money, I
like
guess.
the
When,
OG
when you have
Xbox.
100 mil, whatever.
When you
you
like
sign,
something,
bro,
when,
it's
when,
like, I'm
when
just
you have
getting
money
everything.
and you like something, you get everything. Correct.
Also, shout out to Joe Mazzulla, man. I thought Mazzulla was fantastic this playoff run. The talk on his name after last season, I defended Mazzulla last year because to me, I thought it was the players that didn't play well. We looked at the three-point shooting numbers, the open percentage of Miami compared to Boston last year, Al Horford falling off a cliff, Jaylen Brown, of course, struggling. I really thought last season was a lot more on the players when people were just making it out to be Mazzulla. Mazzulla wasn't perfect by any means. I think he had multiple mistakes that you could look back on, but he still took over the job 2 days before the season started, got to a game 7 in the ECF where you're down 0-3. You have to have buy-in and collectively as a group to trust this coach. They showed that this season. They bolster up the staff, bring in Sam Cassell, and I feel like it's made a world of difference. You know, every player, Derek White was up there tearing up saying how much he believes in Joe Mazzulla, how Joe Mazzulla turned around his career, saying that you're the point guard of this team after the 2022 finals where Derek White wasn't in the fourth quarter of games. Derek White was not on the court in that 2022 finals. He was, the transition isn't as seamless as it looks now where Derek White's all defensive team 40% from three. At first, it was a bit of a rocky start, but Mazzulla said, you're going to start for us. He instilled that confidence, and now you see how great Derek White has been. And I think as a whole, schematically, he was fantastic this series, taking away things that the Dallas Mavericks wanted to do. And I think offensively, he's really been able to bring the best out of everyone, whether it's Tatum taking a playmaking leap, Drew Holiday, as we mentioned, coming off playing off ball. Kristaps Porzingis, of course, was a great post player in Washington, but really honing in on that throughout this season where he was the most efficient post player in the NBA. So I want to give Mazzulla his props because I feel like he got shit on a ton last year for a 34, 35-year-old head coach coaching the Boston Celtics, everything coming at the same time where you're getting the job and you have all of these players and you're trying to figure everything out. You got to settle down this summer, really kind of understand how he wanted to run this team. And I think it showed dividends because every player 1 through 15 believed in him.
No doubt. He deserves his flowers. And I think he deserves his flowers because he was put into a rough situation. He was scapegoated even when the players weren't doing their jobs. But I think he's done a great job at highlighting everybody's strength. You mentioned that Porzingis thing. In Dallas, Rick Carlisle didn't let him play that way. But in Boston, somehow Joe Mazzulla has been able to get the best out of everybody without taking away from anybody.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to do.
He's also got his guys ready to die out there. Here, Derek White against shout out to Derek White, getting his face knocked in. He's saying, I'm ready. I'll pull all my teeth out. I just want to win a championship.
He looked horrendous after
He did.
that.
But hey, man, he's a champion. He's the absolute G.
No, this might be a blessing in disguise. Those teeth were fucked.
Oh, they were terrible.
Hopefully they're good. Mazzulla, though.
His face got wrecked.
Yeah,
you could see his lip hella swollen.
It was crazy.
He is one of the most
Still
impressive
shot well
coaches
after that.
we've seen. I mean, to win a championship, 35 years old, the youngest since Bill Russell. You talked about what he did when he inherited this team. His composure, having his guys ready to play. I mean, you hear him in press conferences. There's just a demeanor that he brings and a streak that all of his players bought into. And I think part of it, too, is like Brad Stevens got an eye for talent. He's also got an eye for coaching. He hires Ime as his first coach. His second hires Joe because he saw when Joe was on Ime's staff, he may have been a part of Brad's as well, that he kind of brings an edge, a competitive fire as a coach that not only can he maximize his guys in strategy, but he is the right type of guy to lead this team. And I also have a lot of respect for him, too. In press conference, talk about Christianity. He is a different type of breed. He was coaching with a torn meniscus. Like, that's pretty fire to me. So
I think he tore his meniscus. He said after the Atlanta game because we blew
regular
those 2 games against the Hawks, but he does what's it called? Jiu-jitsu. And I believe he did it fighting, sparring with his instructor or whatever, because he said that after the Hawks game, he called up his jiu-jitsu instructor and said, I just need to get beat the fuck up for like 2 hours, because he wanted to feel how the players felt. But shout out to Joe, man. I think he's done a great
That's
job.
some mental illness right there. But
I think the
hey,
Celtics-
he's lit.
After this
Dave
year,
Goggins.
the Celtics are
Not
the best
for real.
starting five in the NBA. They also have a coach who could be here the next 10, 15 years.
Yep.
And that's a huge luxury because continuity in coaching is a huge thing.
How old was Spo when he won? I was trying to find that. Youngest since Bill Russell, really?
Yeah, Bill was a player coach.
Spoelstra, he was actually a little bit older. He was 40, 41.
So we got the super chat here from
Became a
Dodge.
coach at 38.
Can you guys fill me in on the Luka profile picture? I don't use Twitter, but getting locked into the picture like they lock you from swapping. So basically, the Luka profile picture, Mavericks Twitter decided collectively they wanted to put this picture of Luka as a profile picture. It was a picture of him photoshopped on like LeBron's face wearing headphones when LeBron took a picture when the Cavaliers were down 3-1 against Golden State. So Luka was in the picture instead. And because they were down 3-1, they wanted to do this collectively as a community to kind of lock in within themselves and fans. And Elon Musk has a feature on Twitter to where if you're verified, if you change your profile picture, it has to go into review, and you have to wait 3 days until that review is done to be able to change your profile picture back.
Like,
Not
is someone
only-
like manually checking this? Why does it take 3 days?
Not only are you stuck with a losing profile picture for 3 days, you also lost the blue check that you paid for on top of it.
I
that's
wouldn't
a
go on
punch to
Twitter.
the
I'll be
nuts.
honest. If that was my profile pic and we lost, I would not go on Twitter. I'd just be like, all right.
I wasn't.
We know why you weren't on Twitter, my brother.
We do know why you were
weren't.
not
That
on
was
Twitter.
hilarious. Oh man.
It's just coincidence, man. I wanted to take a break from Twitter. Just so happened to be the Celtics won the championship same exact time.
Read the next super chat, please.
FS goes, you guys see Uncle Howdy on Monday Night Raw last night. By the way, best Raw in a while. The NBA Finals did take away from what was Raw's best show
It
of the
really
year.
was I mean, I feel like they tried to have that planned where it's the NBA Finals. You know, you got to try a little bit harder for your ratings, but you know, diehard WWE fans are gonna be tuned in no matter what. But I didn't catch the live episode of, obviously just call recordings of it. It was pretty awesome.
It was.
When'd you throw it on, like second, third quarter? WWE?
No, I've been watching it the entire. I was watching the finals on my phone, and I was
Oh.
watching the Raw on the TV.
He knew it took precedent because on the phone he's like, yeah, this shit's done.
I'll
Nah.
give him the benefit of the doubt, probably because he wanted to watch with Jess.
yes. That's what it was.
Because Jess is locked in on WWE.
Now, the Raw was so amazing. To begin Raw, Seth freaking Rollins comes out.
King of Aura.
Nobody, I had no idea he was going to come out this
You
early
weren't the
because
only one.
He just tore his meniscus.
Yeah, it was 70 some days that he was off camera. I think it was 70 flat, actually. He's unbelievable. I mean, his work ethic is crazy. I
Yeah,
think
Willie
Jess
Mays
cheated that
died.
out too. As I know, bro. I've been sitting with
Fist.
it the whole episode.
You said what?
Willie Mays. He's regarded to some as the best player to ever play baseball.
Damn. Rest in
90,
peace.
93, 94. Lived a good life.
90, yeah, I think
Lived a good life.
93.
Long life.
Yeah.
Don't know his, personal story. So who knows?
Seth Rollins versus Damian Priest at Money in the Bank. That's going to be the first match that's happening.
Not against it. Seth deserves his rematch for sure.
I don't think Priest.
I don't
loses
think
the
Priest
title.
is losing anymore.
No.
Now, after not losing
He's
to
El
Drew,
Campeón.
El Campeón. That's a fact.
You,
I
you
don't.
locked in House of Dragon?
I did watch House of Dragon.
So fucking
It was
People
awesome.
are having mixed opinions
I
about
know.
it.
I also heard that. I thought it was great.
Yeah,
I
like,
didn't read the
people
books.
overanalyze.
I feel like people read the books. They have these expectations for it. I thought the first episode was amazing.
It was lit.
Yeah.
Shout out to Queen Allison. Love her.
I'm trying to think about other things that happen on Raw. So on Raw, Seth Rollins comes back. Otis shoves Chad Gable
Yep.
and leaves the Alpha Academy.
Yep.
Braun Breaker fights Sheamus, and that was a really great match. And Braun Breaker speared the hell out of
Yvonne
Ludwig.
Ludwig
Ludwig
facts.
Kaiser. And then the main event, the triple threat match, Jey Uso, Rey Mysterio, Finn Balor. Jey Uso
I
wins
was
the
upset.
match.
I was upset.
You wanted a Finn Balor?
I did. I've fully transitioned to being a Finn Balor stan. I unfortunately at the expense of Jay, but I feel like why aren't both of these guys going to be? They need to find a way to get Finn in the Money in the Bank. They need to try any which way to make him in that match for the title or for the briefcase.
Do you like this triple threat qualifying match stuff?
No, I don't. It's always, I mean, I get it because, more fighters, obviously more entertaining, but make it a 1v1, allow more people to get in. And if you would have gave us a Jey Uso versus Finn Balor, people probably would have been just as equally upset about it. But at least give Finn a reasonable shot to make Money in the Bank, because as soon as you saw Jey Uso was in the match, there was no chance he was losing. And you see who's the poster now?
Jey Uso.
Jey Uso with the briefcase.
With the Yeet briefcase. And I think he's going to easily win it. Last thing about Raw, Uncle Howdy debut, and that's what the super chat was about. Very great debut. They've been teasing this for a while. What do you think it means, him like killing Chad Gable?
I was going to say, it seems like now that's going to be a rivalry. And I think it kind of can go hand in hand with Chad Gable's new turn of being a heel, where now these guys can be embraced as a babyface. And that's huge because that's exactly how the crowd reacted last night. But Gable can now grow his character even more. And like, if he wants to get even darker than what he's been trying to as of recent, it can really help out Chad. And now with reports saying that Chad's locked in, he probably will be back with the WWE for an extended period of time. Now you can really grow his character into really something that people can acknowledge and start to respect even more so.
I forgot about the main thing, bro. Drew McIntyre
quitting.
A lot of things happened on Raw.
And he deactivated his Twitter.
Yeah.
Which is a huge loss for WWE Twitter.
They're saying he might come back on SmackDown because CM Punk's going to be on SmackDown because it's in Chicago. But yeah, a lot of things happened on Raw. It was a great Raw. It was the best Raw of the year, honestly. Super chat from 2SFimH. He goes, Celtics win the finals. Let's go. Congrats, Dehls. Joel, we will be back.
Shout out to you, Brody.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir Darko goes, question for everyone. What is the most heartbreaking loss you've experienced as a sports fan?
Game 7, 2004, ALCS is up there. Yankees were up 3-0. Ended up losing that series. The only blown 0-3 lead in MLB history. That's probably one. 2 is, I don't know. That loss to the Saints hurt really badly. When Payne threw that interception to Tracy Porter because Reggie Wayne's an idiot. Yeah, that one was probably that one's probably one. I cried like a SOB.
Some of the more heartbreaking losses for me feature the Jets. Some of them just feature like players. 2009 losing to the Colts. I think we had the lead going into halftime. I thought we should have won that game. And we were on a crazy run. We beat the Chargers the week before. We beat the Bengals the first week. And we beat the Bengals week 17 to get into the playoffs as is. I thought we were going to the ball.
Went like 30-0, right?
Yeah, we smoked them. That was heartbreaking. As of recently, 2015, Fitz, last week of the season, week 17, he throws multiple interceptions and we lose. 2009, Vikings NFC Championship game, Brett Favre throwing the pick. Because that year I wanted the Vikings to go to the Super Bowl. I didn't want the Saints to go. I wanted the Vikings. And he threw that pick, and it was devastating.
Could have been different, man.
Yeah. And then as of recently, just football related, the Bengals, man. Joe Burrow not winning hurt, man.
Bro.
Joe Burrow not winning hurt.
I thought it was like Rodgers getting hurt or something.
Well, of course, that's not a loss, though. We won that game.
Right. That's true. All of mine in football. Super Bowl 45, I've never cried that much a day in my life because that was the first year I watched the Steelers, and watching them that year gave me so much joy. So to see them lose versus the Packers was so heartbreaking. I was also in the second grade, and all my friends are Packer fans, so they all shit on me the entire week.
Why are you Packer fans?
Well, actually, I'm lying. All of them, Waldwick. 3 of them were Packer fans. The rest were all rooting for the Packers. Like every day at recess, I get torn to shreds. The other ones, the 2015 divisional round loss to the Broncos, that was heartbreaking. I felt like we had the best team in the NFL that year. And then far and away, this what's up?
I said cry about it.
I know. And the far away, the most stunning one, it was, I don't know if we won this game, but in December of 2017, when Ryan Shazier suffered the spinal contusion, because I felt like that year, our chances to win a Super Bowl vanished in that moment. So that felt like the most demoralizing loss to me as a sports fan.
And then for years later, you needed a linebacker.
Yeah, we're hoping we found that in Landon, obviously Pat Queen, and then we drafted Peyton Wilson, but we've been
Peyton Wilson
snake bitten by injuries.
You love Peyton Wilson.
He's gonna be good as fuck.
Dude, he's oh my god.
He's gonna be good as fuck.
He's like, I'm ready to die out there
Why'd
when
you
I'm on
just
that
roll your
field.
eyes when you said, "Oh my
No,
god"?
I'm fine with that.
No, because there's
He
a
gets the
clip.
pass.
So on TikTok, I get recommended
Don't
a lot
slut
of
shame him.
really dope Steelers clips. Like we took Mason McCormick in the 4th
No,
round.
I get Payne Wilson's
And
great. I just
I'll
don't know
get-
why you had to roll your eyes.
because
saying
there's
you got horny
I get
for
these
Peyton.
mixes thrown on my feed, and so when you said Peyton Wilson, I'm just thinking of the Clippers. Like when I go on that field, I'm ready to die out there. And then it's a clip of him chasing down someone with like his
Turned you on,
4-4.
John.
I wish
What's
the
up?
Broncos
It turned
drafted
you
him.
on,
I would
that
have been
clip?
turned on.
Come on, you don't have to turn everything that direction. I'm just
I
saying.
mean, it made you roll, put your eyes in the back of your head.
You're thinking with tearing the gutter.
Oh,
What I'm
sorry.
trying to say is, it gives me so much joy inside that I
I
just
bet.
wish I just wish it was September already. That's what I'm trying to say.
What's gonna happen in September? What are you gonna do?
We're gonna shock the world.
In September, 4-0 September. Then you're cooked.
Maybe.
Mine's probably like all Celtics. The Jets
Really?
definitely like 2009, 2010.
It's just we're not
2015
in
too.
memorable games, bro.
No,
I don't
but
have a basketball
2022 finals game 4 when we're up 2-1. We have a lead in the 4th quarter. We lose that game, and it's 2-2, and then the rest is history. Last year, game 7 against Miami Heat, come back from 3-0. Tatum sprains his ankle on like the second play. Game's over. 2018 game 7 against LeBron. Just fuck, man.
Hold that.
That was so bad. Tatum has a dunk on him. I'm thinking for sure winning this game. Score like fucking 80 points.
Yeah, and then LeBron had one of the greatest and ones of all time.
Yeah, nah, he was crazy. But they're like all Celtics.
I also did just forget that I got gamed this postseason. That
That was
was
tough.
a bullet.
No, that was tough.
And then I had to go record a live. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, the Jets though, we're not in any high stakes games. The last one really was 2015. That we've been in
That's
a
a fact.
high stakes game that mattered in the season.
That must suck.
It's
Another
always matter for the
heartbreak
backwards way.
is a Tebow mania, man. After they beat the
Oh, I didn't go to
Steelers,
school the next day, bro. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. What, say it again.
Tebow mania
When
was
Tebow
the
beat the
heart-
when
Jets,
Tebow
you
beat
didn't
the
go to
Jets, I
school?
didn't go to school. It was a Thursday night game.
Oh,
I didn't go
yeah.
to school the next
When he
day.
ran
Or was it
over
Monday?
Revis.
Yeah,
Oh,
shit was nuts.
I cried a lot too when Tebow
That was
beat
the
us
biggest
in
BS
the
ever.
wild
It's
card
like a
round.
regular season game. I was so sick.
But I was into Tebow at the time. I liked him.
No, he beat the Jets, bro. I was cooked.
it was a viral movie.
After he beat the Steelers, you got smoked out by the Patriots. That was heartbreaking.
God, it was expected. We should have got smoked by the Steelers, truthfully.
Yeah.
That was another game that made me cry so much.
Because you
That
guys
was
were
in
the
third
number one
grade.
defense in the league, and then you
Yeah,
allowed
it was an old
Tebow to throw
team.
for 316.
Yeah, that was.
Did have like 70.
I remember
80 yards on that last
my
play.
my brother went in the shower for like 3 minutes right as overtime started. He
Oh,
came
he's
out
crazy.
and I was bawling like 3 minutes later. He's like, what the hell happened? The game's already over. I was like, I think I punched a
Listen, bro,
hole in
this
my wall
year-
that day.
Let's root back.
That was rough.
Important games.
Y'all are back.
Important games.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be healthy this year. JSD goes, is it hard to watch West Coast games on the East Coast?
For me,
Yeah.
no, because I stay up because I like watching my Lakers.
On weekdays it can be tough.
Yeah.
Like the game's ending at like midnight. on,
And
like, a
West
Wednesday.
Coast, I mean, those are usually the best games because East Coast 7:00. You're like,
Yeah.
there's a couple games you want to watch, but you get a lot.
Usually
of
gonna be Hawks. Hornets.
yeah, you get a lot of ugly games.
Some of
Yeah,
my favorite
Celtics
time
Pace-
is
Celtics Pacers. are a fun one.
12:30 at night. Laker game's over. We just won against a team we probably shouldn't have. Shit's lit.
So now to end the show, I guess we can just talk about Dallas real quickly because they ended up losing the finals. And really the two burning questions with them are how much did they disappoint in the finals? And then number one, can they be back in this situation next year or anytime soon? I was really disappointed by Dallas in the finals.
Everyone should be.
And I think this was not the team that I was expecting to show up. I thought Luka would be much better. At 29, 9, and 6, like, you know, it looks great, but didn't reflect that in the impact of the games.
Padding.
I thought he should have been better, 24% from 3. And getting that 3 ball to knock down just opens up his game that much more. And that was just something he couldn't get under him for the entire series. Kyrie and Boston averaged 14, 34% from the field, 17% from 3. I mean, wide open threes. He's not hitting 20 points on 20 shot attempts for the entire series.
Shame.
And then the starter shot 17.6% on wide open threes. Derek Lively on the road averaged 2 points and 5 rebounds per game. At
Mike
home
Bell's.
in Dallas, he was a double-double machine and he played with a lot of energy. And that was the version that I was expecting from him. And then as a team, they shot 68% from the line and 58% from the free throw line. A lot in this series was made, especially after game 3, about Luka's defense. And I think it's fair to criticize it. But I think there were games where their free throw shooting cost them even more than their defense.
I'm not.
Like pivotal
Disagreeing.
possessions where you need those points, they couldn't capitalize. And I thought Dallas played good enough defense to stay in the game. They held them to a 112 offensive rating, but Dallas's offensive rating was a 109.4. So this is a team that they got to make some changes. I think it starts with getting a wing that can shoot and defend.
Great.
I would love for them to bring back Derrick Jones Jr., but it has to be the right price point because I think he outplayed his contract currently.
Sure.
And you don't want to tie him into a deal and then he regresses to the mean. I do think that this team will be better with continuity. They went 35-16, a 69% win percentage. That would have been good for third in the West. So I think you get a healthier version of Luka. Kyrie is healthy for the first half of the season. It could be better, but you come away from this year with Dallas. It was a successful season. You ran into a better team against Boston, but you cannot take your foot off the gas because that OKC series could have went either way if some shooting luck was on OKC's side and you took some away from Dallas because PJ and Derrick Jones Jr. at the end of the series was red hot. OKC had a lot of open three-point looks that they did not capitalize on, and you were expecting better from shooters like Isaiah Joe, Chet Holmgren, Cason Wallace, even off the bench, who missed some pivotal, tough shots. I think OKC is going to be the toughest team they're probably going to run into from a matchup perspective. Denver's up there too. But this successful season, Luka led like 8 categories in the playoffs. He led first player in NBA history to lead in points, rebounds, assists, and steals. And now it's just getting him a little bit more help so he can get over the hump. But this was a good learning experience for them. And I think they'll be back eventually. Luka will be back eventually. And this is just a fork in the road, and you got to learn from it.
They definitely disappointed. Horrendous shooting performance by the Dallas Mavericks, but a pretty solid showing on the defensive front. But when your team is predicated off 2 offensive engines, of course, Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, and both of them are struggling, it's going to be a lot more difficult on these role players who benefited a lot off of Kyrie and Luka Doncic playing at a relatively high level through a majority of the postseason and getting these wide open looks. The difference here was they still were having wide open looks. They just weren't converting. We saw PJ Washington in that Minnesota series slow down, kept that same energy for majority of this series with Boston. Derrick Jones Jr. is another one that didn't have that great of a showing. I just look at the Mavericks and where I was anticipating a lot better from these role players because they had been playing so well in this postseason. So, yeah, that's why I was disappointed. Also disappointed in the fact that Kyrie Irving couldn't overcome his demons in Boston. When he went home to Dallas, he was awesome. He gave his best performances of the series by far. But when he went back to Boston, he was a shell of himself. He was obviously not that same player. It's at this point, I'm convinced that it's in his head that he just can't overcome it. But it was a great stepping stone for the Dallas Mavericks organization. You get to the finals after making it to the WCF 2 years ago. You do have a top 3 player in the world in Luka Doncic. To me, I don't care what your expectations were. You have a top 3 player in the world. You didn't win the finals. You failed. It's okay. You failed. You can come back, hit the drawing board, clean up the roster construction, do a little bit better in terms of filling the roster to fit Luka's strengths, put more shooting around him. You already done a great job of putting a great defense around him. He needs to do a better job also this offseason of becoming more locked in on the defensive side of the ball. But offensively, you have nothing to worry about when it comes to Luka. But they disappointed me. Will they be back? I'll respect Luka Doncic. He deserves that acknowledgement. I think that he obviously has the tools to become a player that makes it back to the finals. But I'm not really sure. I really don't know because OKC is brewing something that can be one that can take over for some time.
I mean, the Mavericks have seen this before. 2006, make the finals, lose to the Miami Heat, and then get back 5 years later when no one knew if they would. The Western Conference is very deep. You've got 4 or 5 teams. The Mavericks are one of them. But they had the foundation to get back here. When you have a top 3 player in the world with a decent supporting cast, you're already 75% of the way there. Kyrie is only 31 years old. And a big part of this team is that Derek Lively was really good this year. He's 19 years old. You take a step further, guys like Jaden Hardy, 21, Josh Green, 23. It's a young supporting cast. PJ Washington never played in a playoff series before this. Derrick Jones Jr. was never a rotation player on a playoff team before this. Continuity is going to be a huge thing for this group, but they're going to need to add more. You were talking about shooting before. I think that's maybe part of it. They need another creator on the wing, and that's why I mentioned Miles Bridges before, just purely on the court. That's the type of archetype you will look for in someone that can slash pretty well off the catch, plays decently off the ball, and is a fine shooter. Not a great one, but a decent one that's respectable. You got to guard him out there. If they get themselves a third ball handler, someone to start a lineup that can force defenses in the rotation, allowing Luka to play more on the block, and then Luka maybe refine some rough edges in this game. I expect Dallas to be back here because Doncic is still just 24 years old.
Yeah, can't let up. I think, Joel, what you said is right. I look at two teams in the East who have represented the Eastern Conference the last 2 years in the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics as perfect examples. 2 years ago, the Boston Celtics go to the finals. They come up short. You get one more year with basically the same group you had in Malcolm Brogdon. Of course, you change coaches. You come up short again in 2023. And now it's like, all right, let's go. Let's make a big change. For the Miami Heat, you can even look shit. You can even look back to the 2020 season. There really hasn't been a ton of change-up. Like, of course, you still have Jimmy Butler and Bam on that team. You've added pieces here and there with guys like Terry Rozier and made some good draft picks and Jaime, but nothing near the moves that Boston made to acquire guys like Drew Holiday and Porzingis that are real legit needle movers that take you from a contender that has a chance to win to the favorite and the team that could potentially win multiple rings in, a few year time span. For Dallas, though, it's impossible to say, next season if they're going to be back, but it's also hard to say that Luka will never reach this height again. Luka just showed that this is a chance that he's still going to get better from this. He just led the league in scoring, second or third in MVP, goes and has all the numbers in the postseason. But I still firmly believe there's another level to Luka. I do believe that there's a world where he could come into next year more motivated, more in shape, more locked in, that we didn't really see to the top A+ echelon that you have to be to win the NBA Finals. Moves have to be made around the edges of this team, specifically to get kind of a third player on offense that you trust more than PJ Washington and Derek Jones Jr. And of course, Derek Lively, I think, is really that X factor there, that the potential is off the roof. 19 years old, the 3-point shot, even though he only made and took one.
I think he's going to develop into a guy.
It does look like it's real. Like in warm up, like NBA players hit warm up shots, but like even reporters say like it looks so smooth. And to have the confidence to do in the NBA Finals, I think that's something that he's kind of gonna come on as his time in the NBA progresses. But if he's able to become a 3-point shooter with what he does as a defender at the rim and switchability, I mean, you're looking at someone that could legit be like a third option. Of course, he's going to be limited offensively because he is a big, but someone that could be like a real threat on offense if he's catching lobs, if he's hitting threes. But the West is super good. And the only matchup that I really don't like for them is Denver, just because from a big situation, I love Lively, but he's still going to be 20 years old going into next season, going up in Nikola Jokic, who's a grown-ass man. I think that's still a pretty tough matchup. But against the rest of the West, I do think they overachieved some this season. No one really expected them to go to the finals. I know you were higher than them, Joel. But no one really expected this of them. So they did overachieve, but they shouldn't go into next year thinking we overachieve. You should go into next year thinking like, this is what we are. Like we are an NBA Finals caliber team that regardless of matchup, even though I don't like them against Denver, you should feel confident in, because I feel like Minnesota is a lot of different personnel wise than OKC, and they were able to get past both of them. And the Clippers were a bit banged up. So, but they're always banged up. So I'm not giving benefit of the doubt there. I think they're a really good team, but they do need to make some moves to go into next season for me to feel confident in them going back to the NBA Finals.
I think it's totally realistic for Derek Lively to develop into like a Bam Adebayo caliber setter.
He needs to really refine his mid-range game.
I mean, if he has a 3-point shot, that's a huge advantage you'd have over Bam.
Shot the shit out of me.
Because he's taller, he's a lengthier version. I think he has potential to be even a better defender. As great as Bam is on defense.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
I think Lively could be a better defender.
Bam's the deep boy, man.
Lord have mercy. No.
Bam is just one of the best defenders in the world.
He's versatile 1 through 5.
One of, if not the most versatile.
He's never going to be as. I think Derek Lively now is probably better rim protector.
And then as a playmaker,
Bam, I think.
Playmaker.
But he's not being. I don't know if he can ever
Lively
be Bam.
is a good passer. Bam Adebayo is an awesome playmaker. I think that'd be incredible.
That's a tough one.
He's got a lot to do offensively to get there.
Bam's a special player.
You're telling me in 4 seasons you can't see Derek Lively being Bam Adebayo caliber of center?
No.
I just think Bam Adebayo brings so much value, especially in the postseason. We could see Lively need to become a top 10 center, but the center position stacked. And Adebayo, I don't think you can underestimate how special of a switch defender he is guarding space at 6'9", then the ability to defend the rim. And also in Miami, he's never really been supported with another big who can allow him to basically guard in the space. Because he's got to guard in the space and also recover back.
Lively could guard into space too, though.
Nowhere
think-
near
I
the level
think-
of Bam.
I know,
That's
but
mainly because
Bam,
of
Bam is
Bam's.
also 3 inches shorter than him,
Sure.
and he's not
Four,
the same rim
probably,
protector as
yeah.
him. I think Derek
Right.
Lively, he has the potential to be a better rim protector than him, and he can still hold his own.
Well, they're
I say
also
this,
two different
and-
types of
and
centers, of course.
19,
Two totally
being
different
as
players.
strong as he is, impressive as hell.
multiple times this finals, he was out on Tatum, and I thought
I
he
think
did
I
well.
thought he did a really good
He
job.
did a
I thought he
Now
was
this,
awesome.
now this is a perfect time to mention Derek White, full vert, stuffing the shit out of
Yeah, that
Lively
was
out
That was
the
a
rim.
foul.
What? He got
That
the
was a
ball. Oh my
I don't know.
god.
You need help.
These,
They need to officiate the
Mavs
finals.
fans with these calls, bro.
They're
The officiating didn't win the series.
Hell
itching
no.
for
It's
anything,
4-1.
bro.
They need
Obviously.
me
The
to
series.
officiate the series,
But,
man.
Oh,
But
I would
still
call
probably
the,
would lose.
I would
would
call the
say-
letter of the law.
I think the
Yeah.
series would
Tatum gets fouled out first quarter.
game 2 would still be going on.
Tech on Jaylen Brown.
I would say the best Lively comparison would be probably a better version of like Miles Turner, where he's like what Turner is right now offensively, but what Turner was at his peak defensively, a higher version of that.
This guy needs to really learn how to shoot the basketball.
Miles
Yeah,
Turner was
no.
40% from three.
Well, yeah, but before that, there were years where Turner was 33% from three, taking about 4 attempts.
Like
a
I'm
game.
really
I think
trying
that's
to
attainable
think.
for a lot
It's
of
like
centers.
he can be a better Clint Capella. Like, but maybe that's even.
No, I think
I'm
the
thinking
upside's
of
a
his.
lot higher than that.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's his floor.
That's what I
I
said.
think
Even
that's the
better Clint
archetype.
Capella.
A better version of Turner would be
Floor.
his archetype.
Of who?
Clint Capella.
A better version of Turner, Miles Turner, like a
It's-
better rim protector.
It's tough because he's
more engaged
19, so
defender.
like your thoughts get wild. Like nobody comes to the league at 19, centers especially. I feel
Yeah.
like too, it takes some time to develop. So the fact that he's this good this early, you get your mind racing into what he can become. But it's also he's 19 years old. Bam Adebayo has shown to be one of the best defenders in the NBA. Miles Turner has turned into one of the best 3-point shooting bigs in the NBA. So the potential is there, but he just has a
Yeah.
long way to go to reach those guys.
Yeah, I mean, Bam Adebayo's first 2 seasons, his rookie year, 7.6 rebounds playing 20 minutes. His second season, 9.7 rebounds playing 22 minutes. His third year, he averaged 16 and 10 with 5 assists, playing 34 minutes a night. That's really good.
Games like
he's a
that.
special player.
I know.
He's
I
really
think,
good.
but I think in year 3, Lively could be 16 and 10 too. The assists, I don't think he'll get to 5 assists. But he gets to like 3.
You said
He
he could
most
be
likely
same
not.
level defender, better than
They're
Bam.
two-
Derek
di-
Lively's
you gotta
already
recognize-
one of the elite defenders in the league right now.
They're two
center
different
position.
types.
Not better
of
than Bam.
centers.
I don't understand. Like, we give this hype to Chet Holmgren deservedly so. Because Chet Holmgren is a depoy level defender.
He's also awesome on offense.
Has anyone
No, but
compared
I'm
him to
just
Bam,
I'm,
though?
I'm just talking about defense though. I'm just talking about defense. Chet Holmgren, we understand his potential on defense. We got to keep that same energy with Derek Lively.
I haven't seen anyone compare Chet to Bam.
No,
No, I'm not comparing Chet to
Yeah.
Bam, but I'm
Way
saying
different.
in terms of being that caliber of a defender, being a defensive player of the year type of candidate, Derek Lively could be that.
time will tell, man.
His work at Tyson Chandler he reminds me of Chandler defensively.
I thought about Tyson Chandler because how
But he's a
strong
more
he is.
skilled offensive player.
Yeah,
I really
yeah,
do
for
think
sure.
Lively's gonna have a stretch element to his game in 3 years. Maybe take
Let's
3 or
see.
4.
So he should
He's
do it
good.
He
next
makes
year.
1 3, and now he can stretch.
Well, I really think the form looks good and something that he's done since high school. That's just me.
Did he shoot in
I'm
college?
I'm
That's
optimistic.
just
No,
me.
Did he
No,
shoot
no,
in
I'm
all of
optimistic.
college?
I don't think so
I
at all.
think
I can double check.
I mean, I think that'll
Deserve
be a
an
major
asterisk.
leap in this game because Miles
Yeah.
Turner, from the very start, from high school to college, he was a shooter.
Both have the ratchet.
Yeah, he was a shooter and he
Well,
was taking a lot of attempts. Derek Lively, the form looks good, but he
Lively
got attempted.
took 13 in his 34 games at Duke, but Turner was
It's
never.
not even won a game.
No, he's not
Obviously.
shooting the ball. He's 13,
Um,
34. Yeah.
It looks
But
good. It's all that
It's
matters
important to
John.
note, like, Sonny,
respect
that's-
that.
Way,
it's
I'll be
something
honest.
he hasn't been asked to do as much. But with Turner, there were many years where he was only making 33% of his threes and 4
Listen, he's
attempts.
going to get opportunity. If
So-
you have Luke and Kyrie on this team for another 2 seasons, he's going to have chances to get open threes. If you could hit 35% of them, take that.
By the way, Turner in college at Texas, he took 1.8 threes a game and made 27%. So I think it's really it's projection based to say Lively is going to be a high volume shooter, but I think it's fair to
Because Turner,
fair to
I mean,
expect.
Turner's taking a lot of threes.
Any final thoughts, Dales? Anything you want to say before we wrap the show up?
It's been
Spit
a
up.
fun year.
Really,
Okay,
Say what you
okay,
chest.
okay. It's been a fun year. It's been a great year. It's been probably the best year of my life being a Boston Celtic fan. And I feel like I came on maybe the first segment of the show being maybe a little bit disrespectful towards the Dallas Mavericks. And what I really am, my real emotions is just being grateful. That's what it is. It's just being grateful for the Boston Celtics, being grateful that Danny Ainge took Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown instead of guys like Ben Simmons or Markelle Fultz or other possibilities that were out there.
Dragon Bencher.
Josh Jackson.
I'm grateful that they traded for Derek White. I'm grateful they got Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, even though it broke my heart to see Marcus Smart get traded because he's a Celtic through and through, and I wish he was on this team to experience this championship. I'm grateful that all the shit with Ime and Joe Mazzulla happened the way it happened, because for a long time there, people thought we had one of the biggest whiffs in NBA coaching history going on from Ime to Joe Mazzulla, because that was just one of the biggest drop-offs and we'll never be able to recover. But in my opinion, Joe Mazzulla is every inch a coach of Ime. In my opinion, he is better because of the relationships he's been able to form with this team and just with the city of Boston. So I'll leave this episode just being grateful. And I'll say this. Ain't the last time we're going to have this episode, brother. Ain't the last time we're going to have this.
Well said.
With that being said, you guys can follow us on Twitter at Pick Us Out Pod, on Instagram and TikTok at Pick Us Out Podcast. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.